my head, I'm a bit of a Hamilton nerd. I love Hamilton. And so in my brain, what I hear is meet me outside, meet me outside. So if you don't know Hamilton, just ignore me and let it go. But I'm just saying that that's what I hear in my brain. Um, I'm just saying I do love Hamilton. So yeah. So good morning, folks. I'm finally glad to be live everywhere in all the spaces. I think the only place that I'm not live right now, that's my jam, Wanda K. Don't get me started. That is my jam. Um, and yeah, room where it happened is my jam. This morning I've been kind of doing all the different things. Thank you, Penny GF. I'm glad that you all liked the image, because today I've got a couple of different things that I've played around with, because I'm creating a new graphic for our weekend of action this weekend. And this one, the one for this weekend, is specifically around no wars, including culture wars, right? And so, hey, good morning, Nance. Good to see you. And so I'm actually putting that's on a graphic, but it also has other important information that goes along. What's up, Ja? That goes along with kind of like it's snippets of really impactful, important information that people need. So not just about Medicaid, not just about SNAP, but about other things that are happening and what that means for us as regular, average working class folks, right? And so that graphic will be up and ready tomorrow for our weekend of action. So for those of you guys who do not know what I'm talking about, so hey, Michael, good to see you. Thank you. So for those of you guys who do not know what I'm talking about, so I wrote something called Project for the People, and it was kind of like my response to Project 2025, and my response to Project Esther, and my response to the ever never ending question that I was getting for the last year and a half, which is, what can we do about it? What can we do about it? What can we do about it? Right. And so Project 2025 is my response to that. And it focuses on three things. It focuses on winning elections. It focuses on building community through conversations that create connection between the people that are around us. And then lastly, through government accountability, which comes in different stages and different steps. And so for me, the way that I develop a project is it is like, what are the short-term goals, short-term solutions, short-term threats that need to be addressed, like right off the bat. I believe that the most immediate threat that we have is a Congress that refuses to do its job and just kind of lays down its authority, lays down its power at the feet of an administration that doesn't mean well for the people, right? Good morning, sunflower fish. And so like that to me is the most immediate thing. And so there are things that we need to be doing about that. And so the key is, how do we go about doing those things? And one of the things that I've been talking about a lot, good morning within one heart, is every time this administration or the people behind this administration do something and they attack something, and then they try to disenfranchise someone, or they try to go after a particular group of people, that is your sign that that's who they're scared of. I'm going to repeat that again. Okay. Whenever they come for a particular group of people, right? Okay. Then that is your sign that that's who they are scared of. And what we know consistently from the people that are behind the Heritage Foundation and behind Project 2025 and behind all of those different things, what we know is that they continually come after women, and they continue to come after people of color. Okay. And so if we know that, that tells you that that is the group, those are the groups of individuals that they are the most afraid of. Those are the people that they know have power. And so what I did was I combined both of those two groups into one image. And because they do specifically target Black women. And Kevin Roberts, who is the president of the Heritage Foundation, wrote his master's thesis about this very thing. And he had certain conclusions. And so, you know what? I think that, and just call me crazy, but if I find out the one thing that a white man is most scared of is the power and the community and the organizing skills of Black women, when I find out that that's the thing that just has you shaking in your boots, when I find out that that's the thing that made you, like, you even had to research it, you had to specialize in it, you had to write a master's thesis about it, call me crazy, but I think that that's the thing that we got to be using to come straight for that ass, right? Is powerful women of color, right? And so what I think is that, there has to be segments to this. So the same way that Black and brown women said, we're not going out into the street, we're not. Our white counterparts can do that. Our white allies can do that. Hella, 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 Raja, right? But Black and brown women, we know how to organize. We know how to mobilize. We know how to uplift. We know how to instruct. We know how to do all of those things. Good morning, Letty. And so, exactly. And they know that, right? They know it from a historical standpoint. And that's the thing that's really important, is that, buenos dias, Mr. Barrios. What did Kevin Roberts do? He literally went and studied it from an academic perspective, to understand the history of African Americans in this country, to understand the history of the enslavement of Black and brown people in this country, and to understand, what does that dynamic look like? What does a matriarchal focus look like? And then what is the risk of that to their agenda? And this is not me speculating. This is literally what he wrote about, right? So if he's going to put it in writing, it would be silly of me. It would be silly of me to not pay attention to what he's putting into writing, right? So now, if you're someone who hears what I'm saying, and there's something about this that makes you go, huh, or you get offended, or you get angry, or you feel like you need to retaliate or to snap off, right? Well, that's your invitation for you to lean in and figure out why, right? Good morning, Witch. Good to see you. Right. So literally, that's your clue. Thanks, Letty. This is your clue for you to kind of lean in and figure out why that is your response to what I'm saying. Because what I am saying isn't my own opinion. What I am saying is based on what he wrote himself. So if somebody writes something, appreciate it, Michelle. If somebody writes something and they say to you, this is the thing that I'm most concerned about, and this is the group of people, right? This is the group of people that I have found out are the people that we need to be most concerned about, right? Good morning, July, right? And so if I know that, then great. Then be concerned about us, okay? Just saying, this isn't anything other than that, right? So if there's something in you that is having a hard time dealing with the subject matter so far, I don't know what to tell. Meditate, have a little talk with Jesus. If that doesn't work, go have a beer. I don't know what to tell you about that, but that's a you problem, not a me problem. Good morning, Miss Rosalind. So hopefully that makes sense to everybody, so that we understand. Yeah, does he just lean in? Okay, so for those of you all who aren't familiar with what I'm talking about, okay, let me back up, because I know that some people might not be aware of what I'm talking about. So if there is anybody in the room that is not familiar with who Kevin Roberts is, put a 1 in the chat for me. If you are not familiar with Kevin Roberts, put a 1 in the chat for me, because I want to, it's so important that we connect the dots, so that we have clarity around all of these things. Okay, quite a few of you don't. Okay, so Kevin Roberts is the president of the Heritage Foundation. Okay, the Heritage Foundation is the quote unquote think tank that came up with Project 2025. They are the think tank that came up with Project Esther. They are the folks that have been behind a lot of what's happening in this administration, what happened during Trump's first administration, and a lot of the things that have progressed ever since the Reagan administration. Okay, so Kevin Roberts is the president of that organization, and he is an individual. He's a really interesting individual. Okay, because one of the things that he did was his focus in school is American history. American history is what this dude specializes in. But his little niche, the thing that he loves to study the most, is African American history. So much so that he wrote his master's thesis about this, right? So if today is the day that is the first time that you are learning that Kevin Roberts wrote his master's thesis and his dissertation around African American history, put a 1 in the chat. If you did not know that, and this is new info for you, throw a 1 in the chat because it's a thing. Yeah, it's a thing, y'all. And for me, the conclusion that he drew is actually the thing that's given me the most, it's the thing that's given me the most hope this morning. Isn't that funny? That Kevin Roberts is the reason that I'm waking up in such a better mood today. Kevin Roberts is the reason that I have a fresh perspective on this Thursday morning, May 21st, 2026, right? And let me find it in my bajillion tabs that I have open. But I actually have the dissertation. Let me look real quick for you guys. That's not him. Okay, not that one. Let me see if it's in this browser. 1 second, folks. I know, Marnie. I know. Don't judge me. Don't judge me. Oh, Lovey. That's funny. Okay, so let me see what this is. Nope, that's that. Give me 1 second. There it is. Look at that. Look at me pulling this sucker up. Okay, so Kevin Roberts, it is a 99-page thesis that I have. Give me 1 second because, like I said, it is 99 pages, y'all, and it is super duper long. And I don't know why this thing doesn't want to go. There we go. Okay. So, I want to do, so he wrote this particular paper that I'm looking at now. This thesis was submitted to the faculty of Virginia Polytechnical Technic Institute and State University. And it was in partial fulfillment of the requirements for the degree of Mastery of Arts in History. And Kevin Roberts wrote this April 16th, 1999 in Blacksburg, Virginia, which is not very far where I'm from. So I am from Northeast Tennessee, Southwest Virginia, and this is at Virginia Tech in Blacksburg. So the key words for this thesis that he wrote, good morning, Wawa, are slavery, slave culture, African, extended family, Virginia, and Massey. And so, like I said, he wrote this 99 page. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get down to the bottom, and I just want to read to you the the conclusion that he drew at the end of this thesis. Okay, so give me a second and make sure that this is the one that I want. What page am I on? 1 second, folks. Conclusion. There we are. There it is. Yeah, this is what I want. Okay, are you ready? Yeah, Virginia Tech, right down the road. Good morning, Can Mom. Okay, so all of you all are like, what the fuck? See, I love that we are all learning things together, okay? All right, so here we go. So I'm going to share with you what he said. And you're 10 minutes from Virginia Tech? Yeah, thank you, Wawa. Conclusion: this white boy is scared of black people. That could be one conclusion. That could be one conclusion for sure. All right, so I'm gonna read to you kind of what he says. Okay, so his thesis it says this. So his thesis is on African-Virginian extended kin, okay? The prevalence of West African kinship forms among slaves in Virginia. And it's from 1740 to 1870. So I just want to pay attention that time frame that he's talking about from 1740 to 1870, because what do we know? We know that in 1860 is when the states, the rebel states in the South first started to secede from the Union. We know that 1861 to 1865 is when we had the Civil War, right? And we know that in 1867 and 1868 is when we had the Reconstruction Acts that were passed by Congress. And we know that in 1865, we had the 13th Amendment. And in 1868, we had the 14th Amendment. And so he is specifically looking at a time frame of West African kinship forms among enslaved people in Virginia during that time frame, which I find to be an interesting time frame to choose. Okay, maybe you all don't. I do, because there was so much happening at that time around the enslavement of Black and brown people, and whether or not slavery was going to be an institution that continued to exist in the United States of America. Now, I talked about this the other day, and I just want to see how many of you guys know about this. And if you were here yesterday, don't cheat because I told you about it, okay? But if you are not familiar, this is the easy way for me to do it. If you are not familiar with the Corwin Amendment of 1861, please do me a favor and put a 1 in the chat, because I'm going to go back and I'll loop that in for you as well. The Corwin Amendment of 1861. Not familiar with it? Put a 1 in there. All right. So what if I told you all that it was going to be the actual 13th Amendment, but it's not the 13th Amendment that we have today? The 13th Amendment that was originally proposed first, that passed both chambers of the House, just wasn't ratified. That is what's called the Corwin Amendment. And what happened with the Corwin Amendment is, because the rebel states began to secede from the Union was going to basically capitulate. They were going to say, okay, you guys can keep slaves, but they weren't going to say you could keep slaves. They just called it an institution. Institutional freedom. It was just institutional freedom. Okay, so let me, it was basically to keep the southern states from seceding, and it was going to allow slavery to exist forever in those states. And not a lot of people know this, that slavery just outright enslaved Black and brown people in this country was almost a forever thing, and it was almost ratified into the Constitution. And the only reason it is not, and it did not become ratified into the Constitution, is because the Civil War popped off. Had the Civil War not popped off when it did, this would have been a thing, okay? And so let me give you a little bit of information. So, and I'm reading from the Gilder Lehrman Institute of American History. This is the proposed 13th Amendment to prevent secession from 1861. So in the wake of the presidential election of 1860 that brought Abraham Lincoln to the White House, the slaveholding states of the American South, led by South Carolina, began withdrawing from the nation. And I have read to you guys many, many times the beginning parts of South Carolina's secession letter. And just to paraphrase, what South Carolina did was they used the first part of that secession letter to lay out the grounds for which the United States, what became the United States of America, separated from Great Britain. And they basically said, in the same manner that you found our agreement with Britain to no longer be working for us, is the same way that we find our agreement with you to no longer be working for us either. And we are going to secede from this union and become an independent sovereign state as we were before we joined the union. And the reason that we are going to do that is because we told you all that our property, our enslaved Black and brown people, were so important to us, and they were so valuable to us, that if you did not put it into the Constitution, that if those people got to your state, that they would not be free, even if your state said that you didn't have slaves, right? And you would give them back to us. And so they did. Article 4 of the Constitution originally said that any of the non-slaveholding states that an enslaved individual came into would not be free because they reached that state, and that when the states in the South said, "Hey, that is my property," then those states were required to give them back. And in the very beginning, right? In the very beginning, the states did that, right? That's what they did. Okay. And after a while, they began to not give them back. And not only did they stop giving those enslaved individuals back, okay, what they began to do after that, oh, that's funny. So what they began to do after that was some of those states actually made laws themselves prohibiting slavery, and also they made state laws that said they didn't have to give it back anymore. And so South Carolina was the first state to say, "Listen, we told you that this was super important to us, and because you are no longer honoring this part of the Constitution, right, then we are going to secede." And that was in 1860. So in 1861, in response to that, okay, Congress proposed the 13th Amendment. And here's what that looks like. President James Buchanan, who was still in office in 1860 until Lincoln's inauguration in March of 1861, he tried his best to reassure the South that their slave, quote unquote, property would remain safe even under the incoming Republican administration. Now, why does that sound weird to hear? Because in our day and age today, when we hear that enslaved property would be safe under a Republican administration, that would almost go without saying, because that aligns with the current Republican ideology. But it wasn't the Republican ideology of that time. What we know is that once we get to the 1960s, we had an ideological switch between the parties. But back then, in 1860, 1861, it was the Republican Party that would have been considered your liberal or your progressive party at that time, okay? So what you have is you have President James Buchanan saying, "Listen, I know that you're going to," hey, what's up, dad jokes? Yes, you've got an incoming progressive president, but your enslaved property is still going to be safe. And the states in the South are saying, "No, we don't believe you." So what James Buchanan asked them to do was to draw up what he called a quote unquote explanatory amendment to the Constitution that would explicitly recognize the right of states to sanction, listen to what I'm saying to you, that would explicitly recognize the right of states to sanction human bondage and allow slaveholders to retain their human property. What a phrase, right? Human property. It's just like these two things don't go together, do they? But this is what the proposed explanatory amendment was. And so what it said is that in response to that, the House of Representatives established a 33-member committee under the leadership of Representative Thomas Corwin of Ohio to prepare a draft for the president's consideration. Okay. So within weeks, the committee delivered, quote, the Corwin Amendment to the House. And it was a document that many hoped would mollify the South. This proposed 13th Amendment reflected the apprehension of those who in the late 1860s believed that they were witnessing the dissolution of the nation. Now, without using the word, quote unquote, slavery or slave, right, the proposed amendment would deny, quote, to Congress the power to abolish or interfere within any state with the domestic institutions thereof, including that of persons held to labor or service by the laws of said state, end quote. So the amendment, which was officially designated Joint Resolution number 80, it passed the House of Representatives in late February by the convincing vote, listen to this, of more than 2/3 of the membership. So 2/3 of the House said yes. So if there's ever, I just want to be very clear right here in this moment, if there is ever any doubt in your mind that the entirety of this white country was perfectly fine with the enslavement of Black and brown people, if it meant the economic gains, right, and the continued economic growth of this country, let this put it to rest for you. Let this put it to rest for you. Okay? So, and then it was delivered to the Senate just days before Lincoln's inauguration. And although most members of that body supported it, opponents were successful in blocking the amendment on a parliamentary technicality. So Lincoln then sent the amendment to the states for consideration. Listen to this. Only Ohio and Maryland ratified it. The copy of the amendment provided here is the one that was sent to Maryland for approval, and I have a copy of it here. In 1865, at the end of the war being the Civil War, a very different constitutional amendment bearing the same numerical designation was proposed and finally passed. And that was the ratified 13th Amendment this is a lie when they say the ratified 13th Amendment ended slavery throughout the United States. No, it did not. And I want to be clear about something just so everyone is aware. The 13th Amendment did not end slavery in this country. It made slavery illegal except as punishment for a crime, which then made a very easy pathway to weaponize laws against Black and brown people in this country. And then to develop a very robust for-profit prison system in this country, right? That's where you get black codes and Jim Crow laws and all the things, okay? So, yeah. So let me check on you guys over here. No, Lincoln did not object to it either. Correct. Good morning, Kat. Right. Okay, so here is an excerpt, okay, and here's what it says. Joint resolution to amend the Constitution of the United States. Resolved by the Senate and House of Representatives of the United States of America in Congress assembled, that the following article be proposed to the legislatures of the several states as an amendment to the Constitution of the United States, which, when ratified by 3/4 of said legislatures, shall be valid to all intents and purposes as part of the said Constitution, viz. Article 13. No amendment shall be made to the Constitution which will authorize or give to Congress the power to abolish or interfere within any state with the domestic institutions thereof, including that of persons held to labor or service by the laws of said state. And it was signed by William Pennington, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, and John Breckinridge, who was the VP of the United States and President of the Senate. It was approved on March the 2nd, 1861. So, for those of you all who did not know, that is what literally almost occurred in this country. Okay. Give me 1 second. So remember, this was done. I lost my place. This was done on March 2nd of 1861, right? And this is when it then goes and it has to be ratified by 2/3 of the states of the country, right? Well, what happens just not quite 6 weeks later on April 12th, 1861, is the American Civil War actually begins, right? And that was when we had the Confederate bombardment of Fort Sumter in Charleston, South Carolina. And it was that attack on Fort Sumter that then ended the ratifying of this amendment and led us into the Civil War, which lasted through 1865. Okay. You are welcome. Yes, Patrick, good morning. So the dots that I'm connecting for you today, and so many of you all are saying, is this is information that you never knew. Understand the position that Kevin Roberts and the Heritage Foundation have been in because they've known this history. Not only has Kevin Roberts known this history, he studied this history. And he has specifically studied not just the history of this country, but the history of enslaved Africans in this country and enslaved Black and Brown people in this country, and how that helped shape the history of the country. How did those individuals actually impact the kind of rebellion against slavery, and who were the people that were responsible for the uprising? Who were the people that could motivate, that could organize, that could educate, that could inspire, right? And this is what he found. He found that it was specifically Black women that was the issue, that was the problem. Black women were the most problematic for white men, especially white men that wanted institutionalized slavery. Okay? And for me, knowing that is helpful because you might know it, but there's a different thing than going, yeah, we know that white men have an issue with Black women. That's one thing. But knowing that that is what he studies and what his conclusions were is super important because it tells you how to deal with him, right? That's what it does. So I'm going to share with you the conclusion from his master's thesis. Okay. Yeah, we are good, necessary trouble is what we are. 100%. Okay. So just so everyone knows, and give me a second, y'all. My belly has been acting funny for a couple of days. So I'm going to chew a mint really quickly before I get ready to read this. Okay. Peppermint is right here, and saltine crackers are right here. I'm drinking water, but I got the old school remedy in the fridge. If I need to, I'm going to go grab one of them damn ginger ales in a second. Because, that's what we do when your tummy don't feel good. You need some peppermint, you need some saltine crackers, and you need some ginger ale. That's how we get down. That's real medicine, in case you didn't know. So, yeah, I don't have the flu. I know. I just know I got some mood. I'm just saying. Well, the first thing that we would normally say, what's the first thing we tell you as mamas when your tummy hurts? What's the first thing we say? What's the first thing we say, y'all? You got it, Slim Shady. Go poop. And that is not my problem because that was happening 3 days ago anytime I ate anything. So that's not the problem. Y'all are so funny. Okay. That's it. I don't have the flu. I don't have any other symptoms except this. Yeah. Whatever it is. I don't know. You have all three on your desk right now. See, just saying. It is what it is. Yeah, it's a little stomach bug, I think. I don't know. Mila had it yesterday. She went to school today, so we'll see. Hey, Irvet, good to see you. Salam, Sammy. All right, so here we go. I'm going to share with you what he said, okay? And when I say he, I'm talking about Kevin Roberts from the Heritage Foundation. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to read the abstract that opens up this thesis of his, and then I'm going to go down to the bottom of this document, and I'm going to read to you the conclusion, because that's the part that I really want you all to hear, because it tells you what he believes after doing all of this studying and taking in all of this information. He's going to tell you what his abstract argument is, and then he's going to tell you what his conclusion is. So listen, here's what he says. This is the abstract portion. Scholarship on slave families has focused on the nuclear family unit as the primary socializing institution among slaves. Now, I want you all to be very clear about the language he's utilizing. The very first thing that I hear is nuclear family, because that is something that you hear being repeated within Black Trump supporters, the folks that identify as BLAGA. And you also hear it amongst many of the people who profess to be FBA, right? There's a lot of talk about this nuclear family thing. And the reality is that was not something that was originally part of our culture, okay? But listen to what he says. Scholarship on slave families has focused on the nuclear family unit as the primary socializing institution among slaves. Such a paradigm ignores the extended family, which was the primary form of family organization among peoples in Western and Central Africa. By exploring slave trade data, I argue that 85% of slave imports to Virginia in the 18th century were from only 4 regions. People from each region, the Igbo, the Akan, Bantu speakers from Angola and Congo, and the Mande from Senegambia, were marked by the prevalence of the extended family, the centrality of women, and flexible descent systems. I contend that these 3 cultural characteristics were transferred by slaves to Virginia. It's really important that you hear what he's saying. He said, listen, a lot of this academic stuff that we've been talking about when we've been focusing on slave families, we've been looking at that nuclear family. And we've been looking at the nuclear family as that primary socializing institution among these people. But you're ignoring the extended family. And it's the extended family that is the primary form of family organization amongst peoples in Western and Central Africa. And by exploring slave trade data, he is saying, listen, I argue that 85% of the slave imports to Virginia in the 18th century were from only 4 regions, right? And he's telling you what those regions are. The Igbo, the Akan, the Bantu speakers from Angola and Congo, and then the Mande from Senegambia. And they were marked by the prevalence of the extended family, by the centrality of their women, and flexible descent systems. And I contend that these 3 cultural characteristics were then transferred by slaves to Virginia. That's a pretty powerful thing, right? That's a pretty powerful thing when an enslaved people can transfer the culture of their extended families and their centrality of women, and you can transfer that into the land in which you have been brought, right? That makes you powerful, yeah? So he goes on to say, runaway slave advertisements from the Virginia Gazette show the cultural makeup of slaves in 18th century Virginia. I use these advertisements to illustrate the prevalence of vast interplantation webs of kin that pervaded plantation, county, and even state boundaries. Plantation records, on the other hand, are useful for tracking the development of extended families on a single plantation. William Massey's plantation, Pharsalia, located in Nelson County, Virginia, is the focus of my study on intraplantation webs of kin. Finally, I examined the years after the Civil War to illustrate that even under freedom, former slaves resorted to their extended families for support and survival. Listen to this, even under freedom. So what's different about that than maybe other cultures, right? Maybe they don't rely on their family and their extended family so much for support and survival. Not if they're free, not if they have economic freedom, not if they have economic support, and they don't need that extended family. There are some cultures in which that reliance on extended family is only if you need it, right? It's not just something that is there regardless and no matter what. Okay. And so then he goes, there's 3 chapters, and then there's a conclusion and a bibliography. So I'm not going to read all 3 chapters. Like I said, y'all, this thing is 99 pages long. But what I am going to do is tell you the titles of the chapters, and then I'm going to give you the conclusion that he gives at the end of this document. Okay. I think I said good morning, Irvet. If I didn't, good morning. Okay. All right. So chapter 1 is they fled to their quote unquote relations. And then the subtitle is Slave Runaways and Interplantation Kin. Chapter 2, African Kinship in Microcosm, which is the Pharsalia slave community. And then chapter 3, listen to this, listen to the name of this chapter, y'all. Chapter 3 is named, quote, God sent Abe Lincoln to deliver us. What? Yeah, that's chapter 3 of this thesis. Quote, God sent Abe Lincoln to deliver us. Okay. I'm just saying. Okay, so I'm coming down here in this document so that I can get to the other parts. One second, y'all. You know, it's wild because we talk about like in the military, we talk about how smart it is to know your enemy, right? To know your adversary, to understand the mind of your adversary and how your adversary works and its dynamics. And that's exactly what he's done. 100%. But anyway, let me get down. I'm almost there. Okay. So here is here's his conclusion. His conclusion starts at the top of page 78. You ready? And so I'm reading directly from his thesis. Okay. Few topics in the field of history have as much promise for innovative research as slave family studies. That's a hell of an opening line. That's a hell of an opening line. Listen to this. Few topics in the field of history have as much promise for innovative research as slave family studies. The difficulty in finding evidence has spurred scholars to adopt a true interdisciplinary approach. Yeah, Granny. Archaeology, anthropology, and even architecture have been used by historians to depict more comprehensively the daily life and family forms of America's slaves. Continuing to balance what we do know, slaves' names and ages from plantation birth registers, with what can be determined if the records are comprehensive enough, family relationships, and extended kin groupings, will reveal even more information about the structure and function of slave families and kinship systems. Now, I just want to offer this to you all, okay? When you think about what he's saying, it's very related to all of this, Kim, 100%, right? If they understand how the systems and the families and the kinship systems of Black people in the United States of America have come to function as a result of enslaved people, right? Then do they not know? Do they not have an idea? Do they not have a method and a plan or a hypothesis of sorts on how to dismantle that structure and function of those families and of those kinship systems? Right? Just saying. While plenty of research remains to be conducted, the concept that the extended family group was perhaps, listen, you all, the extended family group was perhaps the most important institution of cultural transfer and preservation is a promising one. The essential first step to examining African Virginians, extended kinship groups transfers of African culture is to examine African cultures themselves and to explore where these cultures figured prominently in the New World. By examining slave trade data from the Philip Curtin and Elizabeth Donan, I found that 85% of Virginia's slave imports were from 4 Western and Central African areas: the Bight of Biafra, the Gold Coast, Angola, and Senegambia. Within each region were prominent cultures, which, although separate from each other, they shared cultural practices and traditions that were emphasized by newly arrived Africans in Virginia. Even though some cultures practice patrilineal descent and others base their descent practices on matrilineal, each culture had a dualistic descent practice that featured each parent's lineage in different aspects of life. Most importantly, for the patrilineal Igbo, matrilineal Akan, and double descent Bantu, however you say it, one important feature was central: the extended kinship group. This methodology will be strengthened by subsequent research. The publication of the Atlantic Slave Trade Database, CD-ROM, will allow historians to link Africa and the New World in ways that before were not possible. This new database contains over 27,000 names, and it covers the period of 1595 through 1866. So examining trends and change over time will be possible as well. By being able to pinpoint from what port ships left and to determine the origin of the slaves on these ships, slavery scholars will be able to study with more precision what African cultures were represented in specific locales in America. Moreover, further studies that examine the internal slave trade in the United States will contribute to the scholarship on cultural transfer. Intense local studies of either a large plantation, such as Pharsalia, or of an entire county can illustrate which slaves were most likely to be sold and how this in and out migration affected the development of kinship networks. This is Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation. This is his thesis. In my research of William Massey's estates, I found that those slaves who were bought and sold were usually males with few or no kin attachments in the Pharsalia slave community. Tracking where these slaves were sold, if enough plantation records in a particular county exist, might be helpful in obtaining a clearer picture of how kinship networks were maintained across plantation boundaries. Y'all doing all right over here? I'm going to take a drink of water. And immediately what's irritating my soul a little bit is things that are just coming up for me. And I'm just sharing with you things that are coming up for me and crossing my mind as I read this and I think about it. The advantage that he has as a white man to have access to higher education and a master's degree education almost 30 years ago, right? To be able to understand the history of enslaved Black people in this country compared to the descendants of those enslaved Black people in this country is just wild to me. Like when he talks about this CD-ROM, that's the Atlantic Slave Trade Database CD-ROM, my brain immediately goes, well, where is it? And has it been made available to everyone freely? Why isn't this something that has been utilized to freely give Black people in this country any historical information that may be applicable to them? You know what I'm saying? Okay, let me keep going. The issue of westward migration, or the idea that slave communities underwent cycles that were replicated depending upon time and space, is also promising. For example, the cycles that the Bacon Burwell slaves experienced during the 18th century, as Lorena Walsh illustrates, may be viewed as earlier examples of the development of the Pharsalia slave community. Influencing this development was the age of the community or the length of time that the owner owned slaves. In Massey's case, 1815 would have been as important as 1667, the latest possible year that Lewis Burwell II assembled his first group of slaves. The diminishing numbers of Native Africans during the 18th century altered the cycle. This absence, though, coincided with a strengthening of kinship networks, as a larger proportion of slaves were born into well-established kinship groups. Any study of slaves living in the Virginia Piedmont and westward that considers the issue of westward migration might help slavery historians identify explicitly what factors affected the development and destruction of extended kinship networks. I want you guys, I'm going to go back and read this last sentence again. Okay? Any study of slaves living in the Virginia Piedmont and westward that considers the issue of westward migration might help slavery historians identify explicitly what factors affected the development and the deconstruction of those extended kinship networks. So if he considers himself, which he does, to be a slavery historian, right? Then any study of slaves that were living in the Virginia Piedmont and the West and westward, right? And they consider the issue of westward migration in their studies might help someone like himself be able to identify explicitly what were the factors that affected the development of kinship networks, its extended kinship networks, or the destruction of those extended kinship networks. Now, immediately my brain goes to something that I think about when it comes to AI. Okay. Immediately, this is what my brain does. Hey, Berg, So my brain immediately draws a comparison between what he just said and the potential uses of AI. Because AI could be used in a manner that less destructive to the environment, um, more freeing and enabling for human beings, and less of a threat to the well-being of human beings. If the people, if the people that were behind the development and the studying of AI were people with good intentions and integrity, but they're not, right? They're not, which is why people like, Jeff Bezos will develop AI and then lay off 60,000 people from their job. You see what I'm saying? So when I think about someone like him, and here would be the difference for me. When I think about, so let's just say, for example, if I was reading Heather Cox Richardson, and Heather Cox Richardson, as part of her political historian specificity, also studied slavery and the history of slavery in this country, I would not find her work and her desire or ability to understand what caused the development of extended kinship networks or the destruction of those networks. I wouldn't find that threatening because of who she is and how she does her work and how she views people and what her intentions are and the way that she shows up in the world, right? For her, it would not be, I would not see her having knowledge of how to destroy extended kinship networks within Black communities. I would not find that threatening because I would never see her utilizing such a tool for, to cause harm to that community, to my community. I don't feel that way about Kevin Roberts. Does that make sense? Appreciate you, Aaron. And he goes on to say, by 1740, the majority of slaves in Virginia were Virginia born, which marked the beginning of a new and distinct African-Virginian culture. And while this culture was far from being wholly African, the values that slaves continued to place on older slaves and on any kinship relationship show the influence of African culture on it. I'm going to say that again. Listen to what he's saying to you. Appreciate you, Aaron. He says, while this culture, this Virginian born, right, African Virginian culture, right, was far from being wholly African, the values that slaves continued to place on their elders and on any kinship relationship show the influence of African culture on Virginia. And in many ways, he says, enslavement reinforced these two African social values. Okay. I cannot. Y'all, the bots are just too much. Okay. What page am I on, Motor Mouth? I am on page 80. I'm at the top of page 80. All right. So Jabber, this is the master's thesis by Kevin Roberts, the president of the Heritage Foundation. Not only is his master's thesis on American history, his master's thesis is specifically focused on slave history in the United States of America, African enslaved history in the United States of America. And so what people are finding out about him is like, this is a niche of his. And his findings tell you exactly why they are targeting Black women the way that they are in this country, because of what he has discovered about the role that women play in our communities, right? So you guys bear with me for one moment. So Jersey, why don't you come to the panel so we can talk about what you're discussing right now? Jersey Shore. This is your moment. You've been trying to get my attention. You want me to talk about a specific thing. So why don't you join the panel right now? I mean, you can't possibly be driving as much as you are chatting. You can't, you can't be breastfeeding, working, driving, any of those things. You should be available for a quick chat. It will be, Sassy. It's not right this second. Jersey Shore, going once, going twice. Yes, Warner, and more. Jersey, yes, no. Hey, Daquan. Okay, I didn't think so. So, mods, this is what we will do. So, mods, Jersey had an opportunity to join the panel and has since disappeared. So, if Jersey begins to chat some more, just go ahead and mute Jersey, right? Because you had your chance. Okay, great. We're going to keep going then. All right. So I'm still on page 80, and I'm going to start at the top of that page again. Okay. So he's talking about by 1740, right? The majority of the slaves in Virginia were Virginia born, which marked the beginning of a new and distinct African Virginian culture. And while this culture was far from being wholly African, the values that those slaves continued to place on their elders and on any kinship relationship shows the influence of African culture on it. In many ways, enslavement reinforced these two African social values. With the threat of slave sales and the fear of losing the culture of their homeland, who would be more important in an individual slave's life than an elder aunt or uncle and any kin in their quarter? The evidence from William Massey's plantation, Pharsalia, proves the existence of these large kinship networks. While these kinship groups were ultimately at the mercy of the slave owner, the Pharsalia slaves and many of their fellow bondspeople elsewhere did mediate many aspects of their daily life. Moreover, the pervasiveness of interplantation kinship networks, as illustrated by runaway slave advertisements, shows that slaves were not powerless in the realm of preserving family relationships. In short, while the Pharsalia slaves may not have been directly responsible for the number of slaves in their quarter who had kin, their cultural background would have ordered and valued those kin very highly. The very existence of such networks indicates that slaves had the opportunity, whether created by their owner, themselves, or both, to reestablish kinship relationships in America that had distinct African flavor. And Coin, this is your chance as well. Coin, this is your opportunity as well. Join the panel now, because what you're speaking to is completely irrelevant to the subject matter of this document. So I'm going to give you the opportunity to come to this panel so that you can get whatever you need to get out of your system and I can address it accordingly, right? Or you will be muted. So let's go. Let's go, Coin. Find your way to this panel or you're going to shut up. Folks, if you need to search your emails for my name, from Dani. All of the emails have gone out to everybody that has registered. So, Coin, are you coming, yes or no? Because I'm thinking no. I think now that you've been addressed directly, you've gotten very quiet. Right. So, mods, if Coin opens his mouth again, go ahead and mute it. All right. Here we go. All right. The next third paragraph on page 80. The irony about enslaved African and African Virginian kinship networks is that they were structures that could be strengthened as enslavement continued. Isn't that something? Let's know what he says, you all. The irony about enslaved African and African Virginian kinship networks is that they were structures that could actually be strengthened as enslavement continued. With the threat of sale and nuclear family separation always present, slaves undoubtedly maintained whatever kinship relationships that they had in their own quarter. And such a practice was based not only on their slaves' cultural background, but it was a survival strategy that any enslaved people may have adopted. The practice of revering extended kin relationships in Africa equipped slaves in Virginia with a familiarity of kinship from other than the perceived nuclear family norms. Black people, what he's saying is this is why everybody's our cousin. What he's describing in this very fancy African slavery historical thesis is this why everybody's your damn cousin. This is what he's saying. He said, damn. He said, it don't even matter. Right. Real cousins, play cousins. Right. It's why 3 days ago I was on here with Underground. And what was he calling me and Erica? Auntie. Ain't met me a day in his life. But he's calling us auntie. Why? Because that is something that exists within our culture. Right? So he says, but this is the key. Listen to what he says. He says, this was a survival strategy. Okay. Such a practice was based not only on the slave's cultural background, but it was a survival strategy that any enslaved people may have adopted. The practice of revering extended kin relationships in Africa equipped slaves in Virginia with a familiarity of a kinship form that was other than the perceived nuclear family norm in Europe and America. Listen to this. Perhaps the greatest tragedy after enslavement has been the failure of most slave family scholars to recognize the importance of extended kin to enslaved African Americans. Given the well-honed skills of many scholars at applying the nuclear family paradigm to slaves of African descent, I have examined an alternative that, based on African culture, is more suitable for the subjects of the study. To press future scholarship to adopt this approach, I have attempted to show that these extended kinship networks existed, and that a blend of evidence offers the most insight to inter and intra-plantation kinship networks. At Fursalia, extended kinship networks not only existed, they flourished. Therefore, I contend that because these types of family arrangements in Africa were central to the socialization of children and protection of members, they would have served the same purposes in the New World. Inside the slave cabin, in the community gardens, and within the slave quarter were all physical spaces where more intricate kinship arrangements, such as revering parallel cousins and older kin, could have been done by slaves. Yes, I'm on YouTube. With so many aspects of enslavement reinforcing the communitarianism that went hand in hand with extended kinship systems in Africa, enslaved African Virginians had some inherent structures upon which to base their survival strategies. In many ways, this study opens as many questions as it answers. How responsible were the slaves for kinship practices that resembled those of African cultures? How did the kinship networks change as fewer Native Africans were imported to Virginia? Were extended kinship networks among slaves similar in other parts of the United States or even Latin America and the Caribbean? Okay. One question that can be dispatched is that future research emphasize the role of the extended family, not only as the central kinship system of slaves, but as one of the most important institutions with which slaves were able to preserve some aspects of African culture. With evidence that historians can indeed move beyond just reconstructing nuclear family units, perhaps the debate can be grounded on the exact role that extended kinship networks had in defining slave quarter life. By examining enslaved extended kinship groups, slave family historians can explore slaves' lives on their own cultural terms. Ain't that something? Oops. I knew I was going to hit that button. Hold on, y'all. 1 second. I want to go back very quickly to the opening, right after y'all know at the very beginning how I read to you the names of the 3 chapters that he gave. I want to tell you all what he says in this first chapter. Shayna, are you asking me? Because if you're asking me, my answer is yes. But I mean, I can't speak for him. Y'all, this is Kevin Roberts. This is the president of the Heritage Foundation. This is his master's thesis written in 1999. So listen to what he says, you all. Although the political history of this particular report is important, listen to what he says. Historians have focused on its influence on slave family scholarship. He said this particular report relied heavily upon the works of Stanley Elkins and other people. But listen to this. He says matrifocality, which is matriarchal focus, which is the cultural predisposition to female-headed households, is the major concept that Moynihan drew directly from Elkins and Fraser, and one that all 3 emphasized in their works. Like his predecessors, Moynihan argued that the 20th century African American family was not a modern creation. Its origins could be found in slavery. Listen to this. With evidence to prove that most slave families were headed by females. Moynihan concluded that the 19th century Black family simply evolved into the 1960s version. Consequently, the history of the Black family meant that any proposed solution must address its centuries old, quote unquote, tangle of pathology. In spite of entrenching himself within the predominant vein of slave family scholarship, however, Moynihan and his discovery sparked an unyielding reaction from a new generation of slave family scholars. So, ours is a culture that is matriarchal focused. And so he understands that Black women are the central focus and the central component for the survival of our kinship networks and our extended kinship networks. So if you want to dismantle, hey Sandra, the effectiveness of Black families in this country, who do you target? Who do you go after? And who do you separate from us? It is no mistake that they are going after Black women. It is no mistake that they are working diligently to create an environment and a narrative that Black men don't support Black women. You all, they did it with Stacey Abrams. They did it with Kamala Harris. They do it right now. That is all they have been pushing for the last 10 years, is that somehow our Black sons and our Black husbands and our Black brothers aren't supportive of the Black women. And it is so important that we understand that that is by design. Well, I know it's been going on longer than that, but I'm talking about as it relates to this moment and this time with this particular political agenda. They want you to believe that more and more and more and more and more Black men somehow are choosing white men over Black women. That's what they want you to believe. Exactly. It is a targeted attack against the Black network, kinship network, both extended and immediate. And whether people like it or not, that is where you get FBA. That is where you get Blaga from. That is where you get this Hotep shit. Just so everyone understands, if they understand what is the central figure in our extended kinship networks, and what is the thing that allows us not only to survive but to continue to develop and continue to thrive and continue to grow, then that is the very thing that they are working to attack. And so I wanted to take a minute this morning to connect some dots between all of these different movements and these initiatives and these narratives that are all coexisting at the same time. Yeah, FBA is Foundational Black Americans. Yeah. Yeah, so my definition for FBA, y'all don't want mine. So FBA is known as Foundational Black Americans. I call FBA fuckery before accuracy. I call FBA fuckery before accuracy. um, because people can get mad at me if they want to, but right? Yeah. So appreciate it, Lizzie. Yeah, I mean, Native Son, God, when you say you're FBA, um, I guess my question for you is, so what does that even mean to you? Sandra, I don't think that that's a real thing. I think when we know that 92% of Black women voted for VP Harris, there wasn't so many quote unquote Black women against her. See, that's what I'm saying. The difference between the narrative and the facts. So for those of you guys who didn't see it and who aren't on Facebook, right? So the comment on Facebook says, quote, when VP Harris threw her hat in the presidential race, I've never seen so many Black women against her. Why was that? And my thing is, it wasn't. It wasn't a thing. Literally 92% of Black women voted for Kamala Harris. So it wasn't. When you say, why was that? It wasn't. It's not even a thing that existed. And this is the thing that people need to understand is we live in a world where social media narratives are being driven by bots and misinformation and disinformation campaigns all the time. What about Black men? It was still the more than the vast majority of Black men. What was it? 83% of Black men, 87% of Black men? What was the number, y'all? Was it 83, 87? What the hell number was it for Black men? It was one of them. And so what does that mean? It means that it was the vast majority. Right? And so the bottom line is, it doesn't even, so to me, it doesn't even matter. It's the vast majority. This narrative that somehow there were a ton of Black men or a ton of Black women that weren't supporting VP Harris is just bullshit. It's not true. And the statistics and the data, the evidence shows you that it's not true. And I don't even think that, let me just be clear, I don't even think that MAGA is that loud. I believe that the propaganda machine is loud. I believe that when you have the money that the GOP has, and you have the corporate billionaires that can buy as many bots and put together as many campaigns and misinformation campaigns as you want, that's what's loud. Right? But it's just not a thing. And that is why I said we need what Finland has, where Finland begins teaching their children in the first grade how to spot propaganda. Isn't that something? In the first grade, the country of Finland begins teaching their children how to spot propaganda. And that is what we need. Because and to be fair, let me be fair. let me also be fair and say this. We live in a world where things that used to be immediately identifiable as propaganda are now like, well, fuck, maybe he did say that shit. Because the things that our quote unquote leaders say today would have never been said 10, 20, 30 years ago, right? So, in all fairness, there's a reason why it's harder to discern what is propaganda versus what is real, is because We live in a world where it's like, shit, I don't know. I could take something he really said and put it beside something he really didn't say. And the thing he said be worse than the thing that they said he said that he really didn't say. Right? Right. Where presidential speeches look like an Onion article. Yes, you got it. Where real presidential speeches and real presidential posts look like an article from the Onion. Yes, that. And that is the world that we live in. And that's the part that's really crazy, right? Exactly. And Amy, that's exactly what also makes it harder to say, y'all, we don't do conspiracy theories, because now you're just like, well, shit. I don't know. But I also believe that is by design. That's by design. They want you to not know. They want you to not be able to trust your instinct. They want you to not be able to know, right? And that is when you have to go, okay, I have to do my due diligence and I have to make sure that I know. So do y'all know what I literally do? This is how I determine what happens with what I do or don't believe about the president of the United States. Real talk. Here's what I do. When I see something that looks like a Truth Social post and it sounds really fucking out there, right? The first thing I do is I look at the post itself that somebody has shared. I go down to the bottom. I look at the date and the time that it was posted at the bottom of the screenshot, right? And then I go to Truth Social and I scroll back to that section of posts to see if it exists within the time, like where it's supposed to fit in that timeline. I have to actually go compare it to his real account, because without doing that, there's just no way to know, because anything will come out of his mouth. And I know that, right? So, it is what it is. So, but I really want people to understand something. So, me sharing with you Kevin Roberts' thesis and parts of it today, and then sharing with you the history of the time period that he was specifically targeting, right? So this thesis was a particular time period, right? And so the reason why I want to connect those dots for you, and the reason why I want to then connect that dot to the Supreme Court decision around the Voting Rights Act of 1965 and Section 2, and the reason why I want to also take that and apply it to what's happening with ICE and what's happening with FBA and what's happening with BLAGA and all of those things. The reason why these dots are so necessary to connect is so that you can take away one real thing. The one thing I want you to take away from all of this is they are absolutely terrified of Black women. And they should be. And the most powerful thing that can come from Black men hearing this information is for Black men to go share this information with other Black men, and especially young Black men. Got it? Because when you all take this information and go, do you know that they are intentionally trying to drive a wedge between us and the aunties? And y'all know good and damn well, ain't nobody got your fucking back like the aunties do. Ain't nobody feeding your ass like Big Mama. Ain't nobody making sure you got your shit together like the women in your life, right? Nobody. And so it's time to, because here's what's going to happen. As a result of what they are doing, what is going to happen is they are going, in my opinion, they are inadvertently going to strengthen Black communities in a way they never intended. Hear me when I say this, y'all. They are going to unintentionally strengthen Black communities. That's what they're going to do. Y'all ever heard that term dummy mandering? Have y'all heard dummy mandering? So, dummy mandering is when you go to gerrymander a map so that you can give your political party the advantage. And unintentionally, your ass gives them other districts that they can win because you are focused on this advantage over here. It's dummy mandering, right? Yeah, this is what you call dummy racism. This is dummy prejudice. This is dummy. It's backfiring. And that is what is happening right now. It's the same thing that's happening with women. You know? All right, Kim, I'm gonna go let you speak while I grab some more water real quick.
Ooh. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. I'll wait for the second part when you get back. The first one is we only have less than 200,000 likes in here and not even 300 shares. And Dani has been on, I think, for over almost 2 hours. So please go ahead and tap and share because we are not doing our part today in Dani's live, and she is talking about great things. So please do both of those things immediately. So please tap and share. I'll talk about the other topic because I wanted to comment on something and I forgot to get back. Oh, she's already here. But yeah, see, now I see the taps going up. There you guys go. They're like kicking it. Yep. Maybe we can get to 200,000 before Dani even sits down. Maybe. I don't know. So please continue to tap. See, we're almost, see, that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You guys weren't doing it. I think sometimes I get distracted too when you're talking. Like I'm so into listening that I forget to tap or I forget to share, but so we are all guilty of that, but I think the taps and the shares are pretty low today. So please continue to do that while Dani is speaking. Okay, so the reason why I was going to come up, I mean, I'm not going to be up here very long. Just wanted to say like one quick thing. How you were saying, like talking about Black women and Black men in the community. Like one thing of note is that, they definitely want us divided, right? But we know that Black women will always, whether we want to be superheroes or not, we have always been this country's superheroes, right? Whether that role is, role we want or not, or just given to us naturally. But I think that, one of the reasons why the system doesn't want Black men and Black women united is because they know that we have that role and they don't want Black men uniting with us, right? Because it's kind of like we don't need these superpowers kind of connected, right? Like almost, like it almost gives us, a lot of power, and that's clearly what they're, afraid of ultimately.
100%.
They don't want, the men, Black men specifically, connecting with Black women who are known for, as we know, galvanizing, organizing, and doing all those things, because then it's like, oh, wait, they can kind of connect. They're able to build their families, they're able to build the economy, and they're able to speak out against the system. Like that to them is what they consider a threat. So
100%. And let me just say this, white people, same thing applies for you, but your family structures and your community dynamics are different, right? And not better or worse, but different. And the reason why is because your experiences are different than ours, right? And so this is something that I think that we need to be also talking about and acknowledging, right? Is the same way that Native American and Alaskan Native individuals in this country have a different experience, than African Americans do, is the same way that white and European experiences are also going to be different. And it's important for us to understand where those points of intersectionality and shared values can come about, but for different reasons, right? So some of you all, especially if you grew up in poor white communities, you might say, well, we have a sort of similar thing too, right? But it's not caused by the same reason. It's caused by something entirely different. And it is something that is more a matter of circumstance than it is a culture that is ingrained in your DNA, right? So like yours might be an environmental situation, and whereas for us, it extends outside of that. Right, due to poverty and economic situations and environment, but not due to the actual DNA and cultural experience of who you are as a people. It's one of the reasons. Yeah. So like I can take poor white people from Tennessee, and I can take those poor white people and put them into a poor white area of New York. They not gonna be the same. They not gonna be the same, right? But I can take aunties and big mamas and uncles Phoebes. I can take us whether we are in the south, the north, or whatever. There is a vibe that is there that exists no matter what, and it's not contingent upon the external environment or geographical location. It is a geographic. It is a cultural and DNA specific thing. It just is what it is. 100%.
Exactly. And just to add on top of that, like when black people are saying like the black community, it's not like a geographical black community, right? It doesn't necessarily mean you have to have your neighbors, your physical neighbors to your left and right and around you to be, black,
Yeah.
to be considered part of the black community. That's not what black people are referring to when they say black community. It's a metaphorical. I don't know what it's more of like you said, it's a vibe. It's not, it just means, the black community can be someone who is black in an all white community. The black community can be someone who's black in an all Hispanic community. It doesn't necessarily, and they still belong to the black community, right? Rather, no matter where you are geographically.
Yeah. The community is not based on their geographical location. The community is based on the culture, the existence, and the energy, right? 100%.
Exactly. It's a cultural and more of a metaphorical community and less of a physical community. I mean, and it can be physical, obviously. That is one of the components. But I think when you think of poverty, and like you mentioned, someone who might be white or living in a poverty area, that is more of economic community, and that is more of a regional community for them. But it's not necessarily a cultural community. I mean, it can be because of where you are, but it's a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Same thing with LGBTQ. I saw somebody say, so like LGBTQ, my answer is no. No, because even that community is not, they have some cultures that are the same throughout all the LGBTQI community, but no. And there's even like, it's not the same.
Right.
Yeah, it's not. And it's difficult to other than to say that it is cultural, and it is I keep saying it's a DNA experience. It is something that is, because it is part of who we are, right? And that is different. And so the other thing that I would say about the community, and the reason why I want you all to think about something. When we thanks Edith, when we think about African American culture, because I've heard people say we don't have culture, but we do. And as a matter of fact, we have one of the most sought after cultures anywhere in the world. It's so funny.
Culture. We're the culture.
We are the culture, 100%. And it's just like, so if I were to right now, if you were to turn on your YouTube and type in, put on an Amapiano or Afrobeats playlist, every damn video, they might have an Afrobeats vibe, but everything else about that is African American culture. From the video to the talk to the this to the that to the every bit of that is going to be African American culture.
And even K-pop. I mean, K-pop is, it's for those who don't know, K-pop is the K stands for Korean pop, but it's obviously where it's been a trend. Obviously, I don't even know how long. Definitely the last 3 to 5 years, probably more. But it is obviously inspired by hip hop and black culture. So
Elvis Presley, all of them, 100%. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing. And so here's when I think about this, especially like being biracial, right? It's funny because even being biracial, it's just been who you are. You know what I mean? I I can code switch like everybody else, but but that cultural identity of being a white American is not who I am. You couldn't make me be that. You know what I mean? Not Cam. Why did y'all stop tapping? Because they got carried away in the conversation again.
Because I mean, when you left, we got like 20K or so, like 10K, 15K or so, just when you stepped away. And I'm like, wait, not the number barely moving.
Yeah. And so I think it's just important for people to really understand what it is and what it is not. You know what I mean? And I think the most important people that need to know it are Black people, right? And Kim, I would love to know your thoughts about this, because one of the things that I have said is I think we did a beautiful job at Black resilience and Black power, right? And Black pride. I don't know that we've done an exemplary job at Black self-love. I think,
yeah, which is a whole topic all in its own.
All right? In itself, right?
All
yeah.
on its own.
All on its own.
That topic is very deep, like especially like for me, like you know, as someone who grew up like, you know, I'm not biracial like you, but you know, I'm fully Black, and like I grew up around predominantly mostly white people, right? So
girl, we know. I love you, Cam. I love you, Cam.
Tell her, Dan. What do you want? Yeah, there go Marilla. See, wait. No, all the Black people laughing at me. Everyone got quiet except for all the Black people.
All the white people are like, what happened?
No, I see Marlo, Veronica, I see all of you guys. I see. No, hold on. Wait. I want to scroll back. Let me see. I need names. Wait, okay,
oh my God.
Marlo. There goes Verona. Okay. Big trouble. I need names.
Oh my God, that is so funny.
I need specific. Okay. But yes, as you talk about self-love, I mean, you've talked about this before, right? Like you didn't see, I mean, and when I say predominant, like it's more predominant. It's not like I've never seen, you know, a Black person obviously growing up. It wasn't like that. But to your point, you mentioned like when you, I don't know, I think it was when you talked about like going into the military, and then you were just like kind of blown away by, you know, well, you know, I mean, not blown away, but you were just kind of like, wow, look at everybody, right? And just kind of felt like you were connected, like, you know, whether it was like a connection or all of those things you talked about before.
100%.
And I felt similar going into college, right? Like being, I mean, even before college, I mean, most of my friends were, I mean, I had like, you know, Black and white friends, but I would say most of them, were white. But then it's like when you go into college, right? Or even, I mean, and honestly, that's not even a Black thing. That's honestly, just to circle into education for a moment, that's why they don't want people going to higher education too, is because that is when you become like, that's when your eyes open for a lot of people, right?
Yeah.
But, specifically as it relates to like, you know, the topic of Black love and stuff, I think that is when, for me, it was just kind of like
it's a whole different,
right?
Yeah, it's a moment.
Yeah,
it's a whole
moment.
different thing.
A moment. I don't really know how else to describe it except for it's a moment.
It's
right?
a moment. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a moment, and that I believe that is, you know, just to make it, you know, talk about the wider audience, right? I think that is, again, another reason why they don't want people to go to higher education, right? Because that is when you go to higher education, that is when you're like, oh, wait, you know, that's when you really see diversity. And that's when you really a lot of people open up their eyes during that period, and they don't want that, right? They don't want people to have different viewpoints and all of those things. And I think that is one of the reasons, right? Because when you go through, a K through 12 education, you're just in your community, you're around people who probably have a similar background than you, whether that's, geographically or demographics or economically, all of those things. But then, when you go off to university, you're around different minds and different ways of thinking. So that is one of the reasons why you hear specifically the right speaking so down on higher education.
All of them coming from higher education, though. All of them coming exactly. They want to talk so much shit about Harvard and Yale, but they be putting that shit on their bios and they LinkedIn be like Harvard graduate, but now all of a sudden Harvard is woke and this and that. You know what I mean?
Exactly. When they also, because not only do they talk about higher education as a whole, right, and that could just be your local state college, but they themselves, to your point, right, have all gone to Ivies, right, which is a whole nother tier of higher education,
right.
So for them to be and then the truth is they want their children to go to those schools, universities and colleges as well.
Yeah.
So for them to speak on, the education system, they're really talking about, they're definitely the two parties that they're speaking about is what we're talking about today. They're speaking on Black and brown communities. They don't want them to attend universities, but as we know, that doesn't stop Black women. We're the most, I don't know what the word is, but we have the most degrees out of any other sector. So that's one area that they don't want. And then they also don't want people in poverty to go, right? Because they don't want to show that people can have this kind of move up the hierarchy or that there's economic mobility, right? They don't want people to feel that there's a way to get out. And education is usually that way, right? It's through education.
There's two ways that people get an education, right? And that people can get this experience, have this moment that we're talking about, right? One is you have the economic ability to go to be educated in this way, to go to higher education, whether, in college and Ivy or whatever. The other way is travel. Right.
And we just talked about both of those.
Exactly. And we just talked about both of those.
Education is, and when we just, exactly. And going to higher education, depending on, where you're going, you might be doing both of those, right? Mm-hmm. You are now going out of where your region is. You are now going from, I just lived in a small town in Tennessee to now I'm going to the big city in New York, right? Or I'm going to California where, you are now exposed to different minds. The bigger the college or the more typically, you have students who are, from other countries, right? You're going to have all different kinds of minds. So being pulled together. So you're right. It's either through, what did you just say? Through moving or
it's through travel or it's through economic it's the ability to get to higher education, right? And so think about it for most, either ways, whether it's travel or whether it's higher education, usually they will require finances of some sort, right?
Exactly.
Or you'll join the military, right?
Which gives you both, right? In theory, right? You're getting education and you are getting travel
in theory.
The military. So
so I don't know if you all saw this or not, and it's just been released, and I am not going to be able to get through it on today's live. And tonight is our Project for the People meeting. I will get to it tomorrow at the latest, but the DNC has actually finally released the autopsy report from the 2024 election. And they had previously said they weren't going to release it. They have finally done that. Yeah, it just came across my thing and I was like, ding, ding, ding. So they have finally released it, and we'll have the ability to dig into it. The DNC chair apologized. And he said, by not putting it out, he ended up creating an even bigger situation, whatever. So this will be an interesting read and discussion for all of us. But you saw earlier, but to Cam's point, you all, this is kind of what we're talking about. And so now y'all know me. We like, yeah, Kamala Harris did want it to be released. So now you know what we always do in these conversations, right? We always have to take the information and then connect the dots and take it back to where we are right now in this moment. And what do we use it for? And how do we use it? And how does this information become beneficial and pertinent for us right now? Right? So let me just first, before I dig into all of that, there's quite a few people stacked up in this in the request queue, right? Right, Cam?
I didn't look. I see the number. It's honestly really hard for me to look when I'm here. I mean, it's not hard, but
it's only 16 now, but I'm not sure how many of them are real requests.
Okay, Red Hot, I assume you just wanted to be up for right? I'm just gonna like start closing people.
Yeah.
Right, Red Hot.
Yeah, because I see like Sand Baby, I see Life with Sherry, I see Velma, I see Live Music, I see Joyce, I see Gatito, I see Sonia, I see Lotus White and the winner 2222. Yeah. But I'm not really sure like if those were intentional or not. So if they were intentional, guys, then what I'm going to ask you to do is to request back up. I got you, no worries. I don't know what that means, Joe. You said, call me Joe, said I enjoy being in the other color in this aisle. I don't know what that means.
I don't know.
See, I'm glad it wasn't just me then. Call me Joe. Explain, because I'm not sure what you wanted me to get from that. But so in order to take that, and Kim, you let me go if you want to hang out some more, if you want me to drop you. Either way, I'm good. Because I know you've been working.
I can hang out for a second.
Okay, cool. Listening to the Black point of view. Got it. So the other thing that I want to do though is take this information and tie it back. Can the autopsy be believed? I mean, when people ask me things like that, my initial response is I take everything with a grain of salt and I trust my inner wisdom and then I fact check shit, right? So I haven't read it. So I don't know what it says to know whether I should believe any of it or not, right? So to me, I just don't make those judgments and just be like, oh, well, I can't believe it or I can believe it or whatever. I think if it's like anything else that comes out of politics, some of the shit will be true and some of it won't. Like, I just think some of it will and some of it won't. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Hi, Kenneth. So one of the things that I think is really important is how do we take this information and connect the dots and use it in a way that is meaningful right now in this moment, right? You're welcome, Bobby. I think first is understanding. When you understand, and like it or not, folks, I don't even like to say, that I have a quote unquote enemy, but the reality is it would be dumb of me. It would be dumb of me to be sitting out here on an island, and somebody putting down, traps for my ass and somebody releasing, like, I don't know, like somebody trying to unalive me every time I turn around and me being like, no, I don't have any enemies. Meanwhile, somebody's trying to take my ass out. Right. I don't like that mindset, but I think that it's important to be aware of the people that consider you their enemy. You see what I'm saying? Like, in my mind, I don't have to make you my enemy, but I am damn sure aware that you consider me to be your enemy. Okay. And if that's the case, understanding you and how you think and what you think of me and what your intentions are is to my benefit. Okay. So then I take that information and I go, okay, so what do we do with that? And how can we use it to our benefit? Right. And so I think it's important for everybody to absolutely understand that this administration, the Heritage Foundation, the folks that are behind every bit of this are ridiculously afraid of two groups of people: women and people of color. And so automatically that means women of color are the first group that they are the most concerned about, as they should be, because they know what happens when women of color organize and get shit done in this country. We saved Alabama's ass a time or two. Keisha getting ready to save Georgia, right? Like, there's a whole lot that's about to happen. And so for me, I love that for them. I love that for them because do y'all know how much fun we can have with that shit? That's why I told you there's going to be an Erica, Dani, and I don't know who else is going to be part of it, but there's going to be a whole Aunties Weekly podcast. Well, that will be the purpose, right? That will be the purpose. We are going to demonstrate for you the very thing that you are scared of and the thing that you know has power. We are going to utilize it. And thank you for the fucking reminder. Right? Number 2, we absolutely have to point out to other people why this is so. Yeah. Right? And so this is how we collectively bring our unit together and move things forward. Okay. And for everybody that goes, but are we included? I had somebody ask me yesterday, can progressive white women be part of Project for the People? Well, fuck yeah, because they're coming for your ass too, right? They're coming for you. Make no mistake about it, right? What's very, very important for progressive white women, and this is what I will say to every single one of you, is you need to get your sisters together. Because my sisters are together. My sisters are together. We are on the same sheet of music. We got this shit going. We are galvanized, right? So y'all need to get your folks together. Okay? And you can ask for a resource, but not an education. If we give you an education, that's just a cherry on top. Listen to what I said. You can ask for the resource, but you're not entitled to the education. If we give you the education, great. It's because we're being generous. Okay? But that's not our responsibility. Your responsibility is say, give me the resource, let me go do my homework, and then come back if you have questions. Come back if you need a little something extra. Okay? And I'm saying that with love. And the reason why I'm saying it the way I'm saying it is because we have to be honest about where we are. Right? And I'm not willing to not be honest about it, right? I can't not be honest about it. Right? Right. You have to do your work. Exactly, Leslie. You got to do your work. Right? And so this is the part that's really important. And don't get it twisted. Y'all know this about us. We will when we see you doing your work, we will absolutely help you the fuck along because that's what we do. It's who we are. It's how we're built, right? But you're gonna have to do some work, especially because y'all, why we here? I just want to be real clear, y'all, why we here? So that means it's absolutely your responsibility to get it together, right? I mean, and I'm not going to speak for everybody, but I will say for me, right? For me, you are like the husband that said you would never cheat, and I just caught your ass on fucking Yahoo Messenger in 2004, talking to blonde girl 69, or in this case, talking to like narcissistic sociopath 40, right? And that means we have to see you demonstrate by your behavior. You can't just say, oh, I learned my lesson and whatever, because that's what y'all said after 2016. Right? That's what y'all said after 2016. Go ahead, Cam.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm just adding to that. Yeah, it's one thing. I mean, we talked about this last time and we've mentioned it before, but yeah, it's one thing to, the blue bracelets or talking or saying you're with us or reposting, sharing. But we had a big test in 2024. Unfortunately,
y'all failed.
Unfortunately, you guys did not pass that test.
Literally 53% is a failing grade.
Yes, right. It's a failing grade. This is the time, think of this as your midterm prep. You have 5 months before the midterms, literally, right? And your next midterm exam is, in November.
Right. 100%. And this is what this is. I mean, and so like I want to, so this is the thing that I want you all to know about this space. If you're new to me, do me a favor. If you are new to me, put a 1 in the comments because y'all might be like, where the fuck did I just end up? Um, but if you are new to me, put a 1. Down 1, you're not new. Hush. The lies you tell. Candy kiss you either. Okay, so here's the thing about the space that we have here. Okay, in this space, I want to be able to have really real conversations, even the ones that are difficult, even the ones that are uncomfortable, even the ones that feel some kind of way. Because if we were in a space where we all felt amazing all the time, we wouldn't be really doing any work, right? We wouldn't really be getting anything done. So there has to be some discomfort. There has to be some like, oh, I don't know how I feel about that, right? But the beautiful thing about what we do in this space is when that happens here, we stay in the moment. Y'all, we stay in the moment. I have had people catch feelings and have their little feelings hurt at different times in different parts of the conversation. But one of the reasons we're able to do that in this space is because those of us that have been in this space for a long time together know that it would never be someone's intention to hurt someone else, like on purpose, right? That's not what we would ever be intended to do. If we're saying something, it's so that we can grow. It is so that we get better. It's so that we improve. It's so that we continue to do what we got to do. Because most of us have babies and grandbabies and sisters, and all of us got cousins, fake ones and real ones, play cousins, right? And the goal is nope, KK, even MAGA. And I don't say maggots in this space, just so everybody is clear. See, some of y'all about to find out where you at. I don't do maggots. The same way I wouldn't do demon rats or Democrats. I know you're just kidding, but somebody else might not know, right? That we don't do it in this space. And here's the reason. The reason why is, listen, you're not going to be like, oh, well, all of a sudden I know I voted for Trump when I was wrong. And I'm like, oh, girl, you can come to the cookout. No, nope. Nope. However, we can go out to eat together. Do y'all understand the difference? let me explain to y'all the difference, the little nuance of what I just said. If you were to say to me right now, I understand that I voted for Trump and it was the mistake, and now I know better, I'm going to do better. And I'm going to say, great, we can go to a restaurant, which is neutral territory, where you can get a meal and I can get a meal, and you can pay for your own shit and I can pay for my own shit, and we fine, right? But no, you can't come to the cookout. You can't, you're not getting the invitation in the house right yet. You damn sure can't bring nothing for nobody to eat. I don't know what you be doing in your kitchen yet, right? And so it's that relationship isn't there yet. It's just, okay, cool. Let's see how this goes. Right? Right. Invisible string. And I picked the restaurant. It's yes, let's see how this thing goes. And that's a reasonable response. I just really want you all to understand this. That is a reasonable response from any minority group in this country. If you are someone that supported this current administration at any point in the last 10 years, and someone says to you, I'm here, right? And I'm tentative. You can't be offended. You can't be offended because you were part of something that did incredible destruction, not just to like the country, but to the world, to children, to women, to the elderly, right? And so don't be offended when people go, I hear that you say that you learned your lesson, but until you retake the test and I see that you got a passing grade, I still need you to be studying.
Right. Right. And we're not doing like a curve. What do they call it? Like the
There's
curve,
no curve.
Right. There's no curve. It's just the test. It's just the test.
Right. And that's where we are. But this is how we build something really, really good. Y'all hear me? This is how we make America truly great. It's by being honest. Y'all wouldn't want me to lie to your face and be like, girl, I see you got a blue bracelet. We friends. You wouldn't want me to do that. Because number one, you would know by my energy that shit ain't true. You would already know.
Right.
Right? And so we just have to be about that business. And then we have to be willing to have difficult conversations. And we got to sit in them together and connect the dots. And that means I'm willing to sit in there and I'm going to talk to you about the sexism and the misogyny and all the things that white women do experience. And I'm going to then say to you, yes, and now, now I will raise you some racism and some discrimination and some prejudice, right? That's the thing. Can I explain as white women you do this? Yeah. I mean, Blue Honey Pie, you do it already. You show up in the space every day. You listen every day. The other day, even when we was in here, you were like, okay, I don't even remember what happened. I don't even remember what the conversation was, but you already do it. And it's when we make recommendations, it is you listen and you, I love that pink, Nikki. But that's what we do. It's the conversations, it's the listening, it's the digging in, it's the leaning in. Not here, you mean in regular life? Like out and about? Yeah. So when do you mean when I said get your sisters together? Is that what you mean? Get your folk? Y'all, and this side over here be so quiet. Facebook, YouTube.
You know that I know why that is.
Why is that?
I know you got over there. Don't you have a lot of people from? They can hear me, can't they?
They can, yeah. Not that they can hear me, can't they?
I know why. You know why. They know why. Everybody know why. I'm just gonna be quiet. I'm gonna go from you myself.
Cam said, let me just go ahead and put myself on mute. Oh my Lord, B. Y'all are hilarious. So I have different audiences across different platforms, y'all. And where I'm from, and I'm very open about where I'm from is 96% white today. They are 99.9% Christian, and they are probably about 85% Republican where I'm from today, right? Jody said, Cam, Jody said, we're white, not deaf.
Oh my God.
Jody said, we white, not deaf.
I'm glad I'm coming through loud and clear.
Oh my God. Oh my God. That was good, Jody. That was real good. She got you. But do you see what I'm saying? So like for me, this is the type of environment that I want to be able to cultivate, to have these conversations that they want you to believe are so horrible. And that they want you to. So like real talk, do I make anybody that's white in here feel like you should be ashamed? Do I make white people feel bad? White people, that question's for you. Have I made anybody feel bad? Because that's not the goal, right? That's not the goal. But they want you to believe that conversations about race are supposed to be to make you feel bad. I don't want you to feel bad. You didn't do shit unless you voted the last time. You know what I mean? Shut up, Red Hot. Talking about half of me. But you know what I mean? I want you all to understand that they want us to not have these conversations, because in the conversations is where we grow and where we heal. And that is also where we build connection. And when we build connection, and I'm going to tell you where the majority of women are going to build connection. We're going to build connection around our families. Whether you have biological children of your own, whether you have nieces or nephews, whether you have sisters and brothers, whether you have, we will find connection within our families.
Yeah, I believe that. I mean, I saw Sherry just comment
Yep, she said no.
just a little bit ago, and I think that's a perfect example because that was one of your connection points when
With her. As our grandbabies.
You know, when you and Sherry first had your first conversation. So and yeah, it's all about the kids, and I think that it's a good a connection point for a lot of people.
Yep. And this is
and
the
that
thing.
Ties into educate. That ties into all, the he, right? That ties into healthcare, obviously, like
yep,
the measles and all this stuff that's going on, right? But
it ties into every bit of it.
We all want our children to be safe and healthy and taken care of. Yeah.
We do. And here's the thing. When I say families, I don't necessarily mean biological. Right? I don't necessarily mean that. For many of us, yes, but we have family. Almost all of us have people that are family that we don't share a lick of blood or DNA with. But we care about them. And that's even people that I don't even know. There are people that I don't even know, and I would still care about you as if you are family, because I understand that as the least of us is, so are the rest of us. Right? And it's so important for people to understand that we are all literally connected together, and we have to really tap into that and understand, because that is the thing, that is the reason why the matriarchy is coming. And matriarchy, listen, matriarchs don't we don't rule. Matriarchs have never had to rule in that way. That's not how we don't have to. See, men think that you have to rule over people. Women know that you don't. Matter of fact, the most effective ruling in the world is when they think, everybody thinks it's their own idea to do exactly what the fuck you want them to do. Right? And that is where we are.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing. Okay, so when we talk about matriarchy versus patriarchy, I think that we are used to the patriarchy. It's men being in control, right? The key word is control, right? Mm-hmm. But I think just like we always talk about, where as it relates to Black and brown people and white people, they think that if we're in control, Black people are in control, that we're going to do what they did to us to them, right? Yep. And I believe it's similar with the matriarchy and patriarchy. They believe that if women or whatever are in control, that somehow we're going to do things that they did to us, yep. Right? But the truth is, matriarchy isn't about control like Correct. The patriarchy is. That's the biggest difference. Patriarchy equals control, but matriarchy is about
community,
nurturing, right? Community and nurturing,
yeah,
right,
yeah.
And it's not even just about. Honestly, it's not even just about people, right? Like, I think that women, if we're in a matriarchy society, even the earth, that is something like we wouldn't try to do as much to the earth as we would if we had a matriarchy society too.
Yeah, 100%. And that's the thing that I really want people to really take in from this entire conversation that we're having. The reason why, when I was picking out the image that I wanted to, because I knew some of the things I was going to talk about today. And for those of you all who, are wondering, how does this tie into everything else? It ties into literally all of it. I want to play something. If you all have seen the show, don't talk about it because I haven't seen the show, but I keep seeing the trailer for this show. And I want to play it for you all. Because I keep saying that where we are with the patriarchy and with the misogyny and the racism and the ableism and the sexism and all the things, I keep saying that we're in a particular time period of that. And she talks about it in this. And so I'm going to use a little bit of humor to drive a point home. Okay. Hold on a second. I want you all to hear this. Hold on a second. This is it. Oh my God. I love this so much. I I have seen this trailer several times, and every time I see it, I keep saying, "Damn, I need to, I need to watch this." And so, what I think I'm going to do, so that you all can see it over here, is if I show it, but if I show it with me on the screen, then they won't get me. So hold on, I'm going to show you something. Give me 1 second. I'm going to da 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 da. Yes, that's what I want. Thank you very much. And she started real quick. I thought there was going to be an ad in front of it, y'all. There was no damn ad. There was no ad. I just clicked it and she started talking. Okay, so here we go. I'm getting ready to get excited now because it's so good and it's so funny. Okay, so you guys, let me take this down to the back. All right. No. Oof. Bobby, I haven't. All right. So y'all stay with me. And I'm going to do this so that you can see me and this video that I'm sharing. See? So now TikTok won't get me. Y'all can see it, right? Okay. So, and now I'm going to turn it up. Okay. Here we go. You ready?
Who would like to hear about what happens when you are dying? That's good enough for me. Death is not a mystery. It is not a medical disaster. It is a bodily process, like giving birth, or like going to the bathroom, or coughing, having an orgasm. Because your body knows what to do. Your body knows how to die. How cool is that? Okay, here's what to expect. In the last month of your life, you're gonna stop getting out of bed. You're gonna eat and drink a lot less, and you're gonna sleep a lot more. Now, delirium is very common, and some people say they get this feeling like time stops being real. Is that something that you've been feeling?
Yes.
Okay, 2 to 3 weeks out, you're gonna need help with all daily activities.
Stick with me,
But
y'all.
my favorite part of the dying process.
Amy!
I know, I've been talked to about my enthusiasm. I should dial it back, sorry.
It doesn't work for me right now.
Should I keep going?
Okay, wait. This is one of my favorite things when she says, my favorite part of the dying process. And she's like, Amy. And she said, it doesn't, I know. They've talked to me about my enthusiasm, right? Oh my God. It's so good. Okay, sorry. I just need, it's called Dying for Sex is the name of the show. Okay, so hold on. Here we go. Listen.
Feel. Is that something that you've been feeling?
Yes.
Okay, 2 to 3 weeks out, you're gonna need help with all daily activities. But my favorite part of the dying process.
Amy!
I know, I've been talked to about my enthusiasm. I should dial it back, sorry.
It doesn't work for me right now.
Should I keep going?
Yeah. But will you hold my hand?
Your body knows what's coming, and it goes into a state of ketosis, which decreases hunger and pain, and it increases the sense of euphoria. And when you start active dying.
What's active dying?
Oh, active dying is a sacred time. At least it used to be, and it still is in some parts of the world. It's the moment when you're very close to death and your body starts shutting down. How's everyone doing? I'm looking at you, Gail.
I'm looking at you, Gail.
If Molly wants to hear it, I could hear it.
You guys, come here.
She said, how you doing? How's everybody doing? I'm looking at you, Gail. Oh, it's so great. And we're going to talk about how this relates to where we are in just a second, you all.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
I'm good.
In active dying, you won't be fully conscious, and your jaw muscles will relax, your breathing changes, and there might be this gurgling in the back of your throat caused by something unfortunately called terminal secretions. I know. And when you are very close to death, your breathing goes into a cycle of deep, slow breaths and
We're
long
almost
pauses.
there, y'all.
And then eventually, there is a breath out that is not followed by a breath in. And that's it.
Yeah, yeah. Can you make sure that my mouth isn't open when I die?
Okay,
You promise not to bite me.
just don't bite me.
Why would I bite you?
I don't know why I need you to tell me this, but please say that you won't bite me.
How long have you had that fear?
I understand that you would not. It's very intense in here. It's an irrational fear.
Okay, and at a certain time, if you're just feeling too weak or,
This is my favorite part, y'all.
you know, too much pain or you're just done, you can talk to me about sedating you, but then you'll be unconscious.
I want to feel everything for as long as I can.
Okay, good. Wait, I forgot to tell you about the rally.
Jesus.
The last week of life, some people experience what's called the rally. And it's this just surge of energy and mental clarity. So enjoy the rally. Just know that you're another step closer to death, okay?
And that is where we are. I want the GOP, and I want the white supremacists, and I want the misogynists, and I want the dictators and the fascists to enjoy their fucking rally because they are one step closer to political death. They are one step closer to political death. I have been saying this for years that this is the death rattle. She calls it the death rally. It's the same thing, y'all. It's loud and it looks great and it has all this energy and it's so clear, right? But it doesn't last. You are one step closer to death. And that is where we are. That is where we are. And I really want that to sit with you all. I want you all to think about it from the sexist, the misogynist, the ableism. Like we thought all of those things were dead, right? From the civil rights movement, didn't we? We thought we were done. And then all of a sudden, there's this fucking rally that came out of nowhere. And you're like, what is this shit? Not done, Kim, but you know what I mean. This is the death rally. One step closer. One step closer. And so I really want that to sit with you all. And I want you to sit with that for a moment. And then if you really want to have some fun, think about their terminal secretions. I'm just saying. Oh my gosh. Right. His diaper wearing ass. So here's the thing for the person in the comments who just said, I wish they would hurry the fuck up. The speed at which it happens is entirely up to us. The speed in which it happens is entirely up to us. I really want you all to get that. The speed at which it happens is entirely up to us. And if I could offer you this other thing in this moment, you get the beautiful, the absolute beautiful privilege of witnessing one of the most beautiful deaths society has known, modern society has known. How privileged is that? How lucky are you? How blessed are you to be able to see this moment? A little perspective shift. What's up, Lioness? Hey, EJ. Okay. What's up, Toop? Good to see you. Not Jer Bear. She says, okay. Yeah, you like this glimmer? I thought you might like this glimmer. Okay, so really quickly, because Scotty does a beautiful job of reminding me to hydrate, and I have now refilled my water twice and gotten a Red Bull. So that means, thank you, Cam. I'll be right back.
Time for a little commercial break. Hello, all TikTokers, Facebook people. I know that you guys can hear me now, loud and clear. Hey, Jody. Hey, everyone. For TikTok folks, please tap and share on the live. For everyone else, obviously, comments on Facebook or YouTube help too, so that Dani knows that you are listening in those spaces. So just stay engaged. Reminder, Dani has Project for the People, what is it called? The meeting tonight, right? It is at, I believe, 8 p.m. 8 p.m. Eastern, excuse me. Someone feel free to correct me if I'm incorrect in the chat, or when Dani comes back, she can let me know, but I believe it's at 8 p.m. Eastern time tonight. So if you have not already joined Project for the People, you have to do that in Dani's bio. So going to her bio at the top left on TikTok, going to her link tree, clicking on the first Google form will bring you to the Project for the People form that will let you sign up for Project for the People. You just drop your information in there, and then you will hopefully be able to get the link for tonight. Anyone?
Yes.
When's the cutoff? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think probably. Yeah, I would say. I mean, maybe like 2, or like maybe like in the next. Like, let's make the cutoff like another like 3 hours or so.
Yeah, I really would like for you to get signed up, because this is the part we're at right now. Is we're going to talk a lot about Project for the People right now, and about what we're going to be doing tonight. And I've got another bill that I'm ridiculously fucking excited about. And so, yeah, we're going to talk about a couple of things. So, I would like for you to, your gear arrived. I love that, Dizzy. I would like for you to get registered for Project for the People by 3:00 today. That way, by the time I'm done getting the girls off the bus and getting them situated with their snack, I can pull the last bit of registrations, get you uploaded, and get the last email to go out for tonight, because I have to finish. I have to finish counting the data and the counties. I can tell you this, that I would be surprised if we are not already at, but we are super close to 400 counties if we are not past that already. I will have the number for you tonight, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I was just saying that's amazing.
Yeah.
Is there anyone in here that does not know what Project for the People is?
8 p.m. Eastern, Michelle.
So 7 p.m. Central.
Yep, 7 p.m. Central. Put a 1 in the chat if you are not familiar with Project for the People, because we're going to talk about it. And Native Son, let me just say this. I love the fact that you're FBA, but you be in here damn near every day now, since you saw me on somebody's panel. And I love the fact that you're still coming in here. Okay, cool. Let's talk about it real quick. And I really want to kind of get you all excited, because what I hear a lot of people asking is, what do we do to make sure that we get where we need to be? Not just in November, but from here on forward. Okay. And this is the part that I really want to drive home for you. I am, if you don't know this about me, but yes, exactly. Just Mel. Yes, you can listen in through the number that's on there too. So let me just tell you all this. So if you don't know this about me, I am a service-connected disabled veteran, right? So I don't know whether it's just the pragmatic military part of my brain that thinks about like how to do things, like the strategy on how to move things forward and what are the short-term and the long-term things. But this is something that the Republican Party and the Heritage Foundation has done an excellent job on. When they put together Project 2025 and they wrote Project Esther, they think about what is the final destination of where they want to go. And then they think about what are the things that they must do. What do they have to create? What do they have to win? What do they have to build? What do they have to dismantle along the way to get there? Because they know they're not going to get there all the way, in just like that. Okay. So no matter what you think, any ideologic version of the midterms that you have in your brain where you get to vote for only people you love is horseshit. Throw that out the window right now. It's not happening. And if you need to pout or sulk for a minute, do that shit right now and then get the fuck over it because we got work to do. You are not going to only be able to vote for people that you like in this election. I'm going to say it again. You are not going to only vote for the people that you like, that you love, that make you feel all warm and fucking fuzzy inside. That is not a realistic possibility in 2026. And what I want you to remember right now is that you are not a baby. You are a grown adult. You are not a teenager. You are not an adolescent. You are a grown person and you understand that life isn't fair. Got it? Right? And we do what we have to do for everyone, not just based on how we feel in any one moment in time. So that's the first thing that I want to say. And if there's anybody that wants to have a conversation about that, let's do it now so that we can get it out the way. If you want to have a conversation about third party, let's do it right now. If you want to have a conversation with me about AIPAC and pro-Israel people, let's do it right now. If you want to have a talk with me about establishment Democrats, let's do it right now. If you want to have a conversation with me about any of that shit, let's do it right now. Because we got stuff to do. So let's tackle the things that are in the way right now. So if there is anybody in here right now that is like, well, Dani, I'm not voting for anybody that took AIPAC money this year or in the last 3 years, go ahead and put a 1 in the damn comments and then get up on the panel so we can have this conversation. If you are someone that says, I'm not voting for any establishment Democrat, go ahead and put a 1 in the chat and then request to come up here on the panel. And then we're going to have a very real conversation with each other why that's not going to work and why it's your responsibility to get over it right now and work towards a world in which what you desire can actually be a thing when it doesn't detrimentally devastate the lives of people. So do I have anybody right now? I don't see any ones in the chat. Any ones in the chat? No? Going once? Going twice? All right. Forever hold your peace. Listen, the wedding is going on. Okay? We are all getting married today. There is no more standing up and saying shit else. Got it? This was your time, and none of y'all said anything. So we're going to move forward. Got it? Okay, next. Here's the next part that's important, okay? I'm just, call a thing a thing. So if you are still here at this point in time, then you are on board, and this is how we are moving forward, okay? Appreciate you, Veronica. It's not about trusting liars. It's not about trusting liars. And let me just say this to you all. I want you all to stop using words that you use in your personal relationships when you are talking about politics. I am not asking y'all to marry or have a baby with anybody that's in office. You do not need to trust them. You just need to be pragmatic and vote based on facts and information, not your feelings. Okay? We're not dating people in office. We're not having babies with them. No, none of that. So trust is not even anything. Why would you even think that you can trust a perfect ass stranger? That's not even a word that should be in your vocabulary when I'm talking to you about the people that are running for office. The only thing that you can do is to make the most well-informed, fact-based choice. That's all you can do. Because what's so crazy is y'all some of y'all was married for 23 years and then found out that ninja wasn't nobody you thought they was. If you don't know the person that you was married to for 23 years, how the fuck you think you gonna know a politician? You not. Some of y'all just found out about cousin Stevie and what the fuck they did 20 years ago, and y'all surprised. And then you want to know how you can trust the person that's running for office. You can't. Okay? Stop it. Stop it. All right. So, what we want to talk about, all right, is we want to talk about how we build communications and how we build connections and conversations in our, I have your mama saying ninjas, I'm just saying, in our communities in a way that brings us together and gets us past the rhetoric and the bullshit. So the theme for this weekend, our weekend of action this weekend, is no more wars, including culture wars. I'm going to say that again. No more wars includes culture wars. I am not arguing with you about what your religion says you should be doing in your life. And you are not going to argue with me about what your religion you think I should be doing in my life based on your religion. I'm not doing culture wars with you anymore, because culture wars are not getting your hospital bills paid. Culture wars are not getting food on your table. Culture wars are not getting your children properly educated. Culture wars are not getting gas prices down and grocery prices down and fertilizer on shipments. Y'all better stop talking about bullshit that doesn't matter in the vast majority of our lives. Okay? Unless you have a trans individual in your school system playing in sports in your school, I don't want to hear about that shit. And if you have that, you need to take it up with your local school board. It ain't got nothing to do with Congress. I'm going to say it again. Unless you have that in your school with your kid, I don't want to hear about it. And if you have that, take it up with your school board.
Exactly. And if your kid's not in sports, just, again, you can be quiet because your kid's not participating.
Yeah, listen, if your kid is in band, shut the fuck up about school sports.
Right. If your kid's in orchestra and if your kid's in orchestra and they're in the music class,
yes,
or they're
your kid is the drama theater kid. Shut up about school sports. I don't want to hear it. Right? And if you ain't got no damn kids or grandkids, shut up. Real talk. Because we're going to talk about real things. We're not having culture wars that distract us from the things that we really have to be paying attention to.
And if you're a man, shut up.
Right.
Sorry.
And I'm telling you right now, if you are an adult and the first thing you want to say is what's a woman, here's my thing. If you are a man asking me what a woman is, bro, that's why you single. That's why. That's why she said no. That's why y'all not together no more. It's because you asking that type of fuckery. Stop it. You know? I'm just saying. So, the theme for this weekend is no more wars includes culture wars. All right? We're going to talk about issues. And so now what I want to do right now is I want to help you all navigate the conversations around issues. Yes, Slim Shady. So, all right, we've got 4 main pillars of policy that get us to talk about our issues. And I use an acronym so that I remember them. The acronym is HEHE, HEHE. Got it? The first H is healthcare. The E is education. The second H is housing. And the last E is economic mobility. Got it? He. So when you say to people, no more wars includes culture wars, we're then going to talk about 4 policies. Got it? Four policy pillars. Because almost everything comes back to that. Somebody wants to talk to you about it. If somebody brings up immigration to you, guess what you're going to say? Okay, so do you want to talk about immigrants and healthcare, immigrants and education, immigrants with your housing, or immigrants and your economic mobility? Which one of those things is what's concerning you about immigrants? Because if it's open borders, shut the fuck up. Especially if you live in Tennessee, Georgia, Iowa, fucking Kansas, ain't got a border, ain't got an international border on any side of you. I don't want to hear it. So if you want to talk to me about immigration and you do not live on the southern border, you're only going to talk to me about immigration as it relates to healthcare, education, housing, and economic mobility. That's it. Because everything else is bullshit. Everything else is irrelevant. You're not going to be like, we had them just pouring in here. It's invasion. Shut up. No. No. No and no. Okay? Every time people want to take you off into a culture war, I want you to bring it back to these 4 pillars of policy. You want to talk to me about trans people? Great. Do you want to talk about healthcare? Cool. Let's do that. Oh, KK, come on up here. Let's do it. I'm happy to role play with you. So if you say, yes, I want to talk about trans people in healthcare. Here's going to be my next question. Are you ready? Are you talking about their healthcare or how trans people impact your healthcare? Because if you want to talk to me about what trans people do for their own healthcare, shut the fuck up. I only want to talk to you about trans people in healthcare if you want to talk about how trans people impact your healthcare. And if that's not the subject, shut up. And if you don't have a trans kid in your family, right, that something's happening to, and if you do, listen, if you have a trans kid in your family and you believe their parents shouldn't be doing something, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to help you get on the internet and get the number for DCS. That's what I'm going to do. Go call Child Protective Services. That's how you handle that shit. You don't legislate based on your singular family issue. We're not legislating everybody for your family shit. You got a problem with the way Sally and Joe handle little Timmy? Then call CPS, damn it. It doesn't, Tina. That's the whole point. It doesn't. Tina said, how does trans healthcare affect anybody else? And my response is, it don't. That's the point. You got it? Do you see how you just nipped that shit in the bud? If you know of a trans child in your community and you believe that their parents are quote unquote mutilating them, call CPS, damn it. Why haven't you done that back now if you're so worried about them children? Surely to goodness, if you really thought that you knew a child that was being quote unquote mutilated, if they were going home as Sarah and coming home as Timmy, surely to God you called somebody already, right? Surely. Y'all see where I'm going with this, right? Every conversation, you bring it back to policy. You bring it back to pillars of policy. Got it? So for those of you guys over here, KK is joining. And so KK's question to me was, how do you have a conversation about immigrants when it comes to housing? And so,
Good afternoon, Dani. Thank you.
yeah, you're welcome. And so I invited him to come to the panel so that we could role play it. So here's what I like to do when we role play these types of things is I like to pretend to be you, and then you say the things that you think the other person would be saying. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, cool. All right. So what would they say? What would they say regarding immigration and housing?
They would say that they're taking up all the housing.
Okay, pretend to be them. So say it just like they would say it. Role play it.
Right.
Yep.
So immigrants are taking up our housing, and they're making it harder for citizens to get housing.
So when you say that they're taking up your housing, do you mean that they are getting like your Section 8 benefits? Is that what you mean? Or do you mean that they are working and they're just applying and they're getting housing?
Some are definitely taking advantage of public assistance. Some are just grouping into homes and driving up our pricing, our housing costs.
How does them renting a house drive up your housing cost?
Because when landlords find out that there's multiple families living in one dwelling, they are more prone to raising the costs, raising the rent.
Based on what?
Based on the fact that there's more than one income coming into the household.
No, but what I'm asking you is, where do you find that to be a trend? Like, because I've never heard that. So let me ask a couple of questions. So are you talking about an individual landlord, or are you talking about an apartment complex?
Apartment complex.
Okay, an apartment complex, and that is privately owned?
Privately owned, yes.
Okay, so privately owned apartment complex, and you're saying that a landlord finds out that 10 people live in an apartment, and so they raise the apartment rates for everybody in the building?
Yeah, more than likely, yeah. They're more prone to raising their market rents, and that's going to affect the general population.
So I've never heard of that, because I don't find that in, for example, I don't find that in like Little Italy. I don't find that in Chinatown. I don't find that, because there are many cultures where American citizens have family units that share, their housing accommodations, and I've never seen any reports or any like landlord documentations or studies that show that how many people live in an apartment is what dictates how much somebody charges for rent. Do you have like a source for that I could read?
No, I don't, honestly.
Okay. I mean, if you find one, I would love to see it. I've just never had it. And so when we talk about Section 8, right? Section 8 is federally funded, right?
Yes.
Okay. So are you familiar with 8 USC 1611?
No.
So I can show you a link. I've got it in my link tree. So 8 USC 1611 is actually the federal law that talks about the fact that unauthorized immigrants are not eligible for any federally funded programs at all. So whether that is Medicaid, so the only way that they can get Medicaid, for example, in New York. So in New York, an unauthorized immigrant can only purchase Healthy New York Medicaid from the ACA marketplace after they've been working. And an unauthorized immigrant can only apply for a work permit after having done their immigration paperwork and waiting 6 months. So in New York or anywhere else, federally funded Section 8, which is, Section 8 is federally funded, it doesn't apply to unauthorized immigrants.
Understood.
Yeah.
All right.
So what made you think that somehow unauthorized immigrants were the people that were taking up all your housing?
Well, I just hear a lot of people. This is off of the role play thing, right?
Yeah.
I hear a lot. I do taxes for a living, and I get a lot of clients, and I have to remain somewhat unbiased when it comes to dealing with clients, especially. But a lot of clients complain about just immigrants taking up their benefits, whether it's housing, whether it's healthcare, whether it's public assistance, and sometimes I'm at a loss of words of how to basically argue for immigrants and how immigration is more beneficial than not.
Yeah. So literally in my link tree, I do have a whole resource around immigration, right? And then tonight, when we have our Project for the People meeting, I'm going to be talking about some of these things as well. So you can kind of take some notes and just quick talking points. And so one of the things that people, especially in New York, so New York is one of those places that when this became a talking point for the GOP, I went and did even more research specific to New York, right? And so this whole thing about, oh, they had, thanks, LaMonica, they had, $1,000 on or $20,000 on their EBT cards. None of that happened, right? But you actually have a report from the city of New York that talked about the way that they handled immigration that came in when Texas and Florida just bust those immigrants up there and dropped them off in the middle of January when it was freezing. The way that New York did it actually saved New York money compared to its normal immigration program. So like the normal immigration program is you have an immigration processing center and the immigrants will normally stay there for 30 days while they're going through processing. And during that time at the facility, there's staff there, right? The staff makes boxed lunches and puts food in it for them and all the things. And then they throw the boxed lunches away and then there's like nothing. So what they did this time was really smart. So they had what used to be back in the day, really, really nice hotels that aren't really nice anymore in New York and that were really sitting empty because of C-19. They contracted with the owners of those hotels to have unauthorized immigrants stay there for 30 days while they were going through the process. And then what they did is instead of trying to hire staff and have our boxed lunches delivered to those hotel rooms for those people, is they loaded debit cards with SNAP benefits the same way you do and based on the same ratio by the number of people in your family that they would normally do, right? So if you got 5 people in your family, then I think it was like in New York, because you know how hella expensive shit is in New York, I think it was like $350 a week or something like that. And but what happened is because they gave them those preloaded debit cards, those people were literally going out into the community and using that card. And so they were actually supporting small businesses with the money that they were spending right there in the neighborhood, which is smarter than just some old box lunches that get thrown away, right?
Right.
Yeah. So the report that I ended up reading from New York, it actually showed why that was a smarter way for them to handle that influx. The other thing that you should know is that if you are a state that is agreeing to take unauthorized immigrants, you actually get federal funding for those immigrants that are coming to your state. Did you know that?
I did not.
Yep. So Texas gets it, New York gets it, Cali gets it, Illinois gets it. The shitty thing about Texas and Florida is when they bust you all their immigrants, they didn't send them funds to y'all though. Abbott and DeSantis, they kept it. So it benefits the economy that you have those folks coming. There's even a study from the George Bush Foundation that shows that immigrants are a net positive economically. But so to go back to what your question was, do you see the way when you said, how do I talk about housing about immigrants?
Yeah.
And do you see, I didn't tell you a bunch of things. I asked questions. I said, so do you mean this or do you mean that? And do you mean that? And do you know about that? And the reason why is when you ask someone questions, you are making them think through the process of the claim that they are making, right? Yes. So I don't even have to prove to you that you're wrong. I'm asking clarifying questions that show you the thing that you're concerned about isn't actually happening.
Understood. Yeah, that's a genius.
Yep. And then you don't have to argue with me. And yep, Invisible String said it. So this is what I call it. I call it the Easter egg hunt method. So I have grandbabies, and which means I've obviously had children, right? And so, so think about when you have kids and you take them outside for an Easter egg hunt. You don't want to point them to the egg, but you want them to find the egg and think that they discovered it. And so the questions is me helping you find the egg so that you think you found it for yourself.
Wow, that is so genius. Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
You can drop me. I'll be here.
You're welcome. Appreciate it. What's up, Shimmy Shimmy Cocoa Puff? Yeah, so I call it the Easter egg hunt, you all. And the reason why I don't say like leading a horse to water and not making him drink, because it sounds like the person's dumb. If I lead you to water and then you don't drink, it makes it sound like you're dumb. But if I make it sound like something fun and you're getting a surprise and you're figuring it out, and what I'm doing for you is I'm giving you autonomy over your own experience. I'm not trying to shame you. I'm not trying to guilt you. Exactly. I'm empowering you. And so it's just that small shift in perspective in the way that we see things is it helps in our conversations with each other. Right? Because now I'm not like, yo, dumbass, ain't even drinking the water I'm showing you, right? No, it's, oh, they're getting close. Do y'all know what it feels like when you're trying to get a kid to see the Easter egg? And you're just like, ooh, he's getting warmer. It's fun, right? And then you're proud of them because they're getting there. You know what I mean? It's just like, it's a place of respect in terms of conversations. So that this is the theme around this weekend, which is no wars includes culture wars. So if they want to talk to you about LGBTQIA, we're coming back to healthcare, education, housing, and economic mobility. They want to bring up immigrants, fine. How do you want to talk to me about immigrants with regard to healthcare, education, housing, and economic mobility? Right? What's another culture war? What's another one? Name another culture war that people will want to argue with about. Yeah, so KK, I have two acronyms that I use all the time. So one is which is the 4 pillars of policy, right? And then the other one is, I got you, Slim Shady. And then the second one is CARV. And so CARV doesn't have an E on the end, right? It's CARV. And CARV is what I say, if everyone brings these 4 things to every conversation, you will leave with understanding, even if you don't have agreement, which is great. Because the more that we understand each other, number one, the more connection we're building, right? Because understanding means connection. And the more I understand you, the less likely I am to hurt you or to vote for someone or something that does hurt you. Because now I understand it. Even if I don't agree with it, even if I don't condone it, I'm like, shit, but I understand that. I get it now. Right. And so understanding allows us to give people autonomy over their lives and not to be, not to want to dictate to them. Okay. So those 4 things, which there's putting in the chat, CARV stands for compassion, authenticity, respect, and vulnerability. Okay. And when you bring those 4 things, that is how you develop connection and understanding with each other. Now, things that you can also use. If you have never ever seen the Google Drive that I created for you guys as a resource, put a 1 in the chat for me. If you've never seen the Google Drive that I created for you guys as a resource, put a 1 in the chat for me. Okay, I'm going to show you guys. You ready? And in my head, this is what I heard. You want to hear it? Here it goes. I don't know why music stays in my head all the time. You want to hear it? Here it goes. Okay, so remember, this is Project for the People. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to make it as easy as possible for people to do this. We work. We have lives. We have children. We have grandchildren. We have all of those things, right? Yes, I will. And so I wanted to make it as easy as possible for you to be able to share information that matters to the people in your life. So I created this Google Drive. And if you've already signed up, if you signed up before 5:00 yesterday afternoon, you got an email, and the email that you got from me had a link to this Google Drive in addition to the link for tonight's meeting and other stuff. If you've just signed up today, you will get this link in an email this afternoon, as long as you sign up before 3:00 this afternoon. Okay, so let me show you what this looks like, you guys. Boom. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys. All right. I'm going to take the first 3 that I see. Okay, so 3 people that have never seen this Google Drive. I want you to put in the chat the state that you live in and your congressional district. So whether you're in like New York 8 or Ohio 10 or whatever, tell me the state that you're in and your congressional district. Somebody that's never seen this. I got Ohio 6. I got Indiana. There's no such thing as Indiana 95. Did you mean Indiana 9 or Indiana 5? And I got Louisiana 4. And I got Missouri 6. Okay, that's enough. So let me show you what this looks like. So guys, this is my personal Google Drive. I looked up all of this stats and information for you myself, and then I created all of these graphics for you to share myself. So I'm going to go to states, state resources, and in these states, the first one that I'm going to go to is Ohio District 6. So I'm going to go to Ohio, and I'm going to go to District 6. As you can see, I did it in English and I did it in Spanish. Okay. And so this is Ohio 6. So in Ohio 6, because of the One Big Beautiful bill that they passed last year, 33,000 people are projected to lose their Medicaid health insurance in this congressional district. And also in this congressional district, 63% of nursing home residents in Ohio are covered by Medicaid. Okay. I can also show you that in this same district, 28,000 children and adults are projected to lose some or all of their SNAP benefits, also because of this bill, and children should not go to school hungry. I can also show you, because of those premium tax subsidies that they allowed to expire, right? Remember those? Specifically because of that, an additional 34,000 people are going to become uninsured because of those expiring, right? So I have created graphics like this for every state in the country, for every congressional district in the country. See you later, witch. Okay. So that you have this information to be able to share. Now, if somebody says, oh, well, all those people got to do is go get a job, right? They are, Manny. And the reason why is, the reason these cuts are coming is because we have a reduction in federal funding. And so every year, more and more federal funding keeps being taken away from these programs, specifically to pay for the tax cuts that they gave to the ultra rich. Okay. But if somebody says to you, so what? People on Medicaid are lazy. They're just getting Medicaid and they're not working. Well, that's bullshit. I actually made you graphics about that too. So you can go into Ohio and you can open up your adults working. And I can show you that in the state of Ohio, 72% of the adults that are on Medicaid already, it shouldn't be, Rebel. It might just be mislabeled. That's all. It might just be mislabeled. But 72% of the adults, you seen it last night when I was on Caso's live, Jackie? Right. So 72% of the adults that are on Medicaid already work in Ohio, and Medicaid covers 45% of adults on disabilities. Okay. So these are things that, where did you see, I was in Ohio 6. Did it say Michigan where? Where did you see that it said Michigan? Where did you see that it said Michigan? Tell me where, y'all. Tell me where. Because I was just in Ohio 6. The one after SNAP is probably, and this is why I'd be like, y'all help me. Oh, I didn't change it. Now watch this. So let's see whether I changed it here and not here, or whether I changed the name and not the number. So watch. It's this one. So watch. Let me show y'all. So we're looking for Ohio District 6. I love this. So let me show you. If you see something like that, you want to ask me. Love that catch. So watch. This is why I also put the sources for the information, so you don't got to trust my ass. You can actually go look for yourself. I'm actually going to fix it myself, but see how I have the sources? The sources are here for all the information. Okay. So all of the sources are already here for the information. And this is the uninsured persons due to the One Big Beautiful Bill. And so when you see something like that and you're like, but Dani, that's not right, I can actually go and download it. Where's my download on it? Da-da-da, where's the document for me to see if this is it? Yeah, see, view the document. Oh, and yes, y'all, this is what I did for all of them. Hold on. I probably still have it open somewhere up here. Is this it, y'all? Hold on. Number of insured per. Okay, hold on. It's just easier for me to do it this way. Give me a second. And I'm going to do, this one is uninsured premium tax subsidies expired. Wait, I'm going to do projected by congressional district. Oh, there it is. Boom. See, so these are the dollar amounts and these are the changes in the premiums, but this is why they're all in there. Sometimes it's just easier for me to look it up because I have them bookmarked, but I will change that graphic for you. And is this the interactive map? That's West Virginia. I didn't want West Virginia. Oh, stop. Can I just do the whole state? No? Okay, I'm not. Here's your by your districts, by the way. Ohio 6. Ohio 6 is, that's your enrollees. This is your subsidies. So it's 25. So it looks like I actually changed the date and not the name and not the number. So I'll fix Ohio 6. Uninsured. Thank you all. Okay. All right, Sin. All right, so let me go back over here. And we will do Louisiana 4. Okay. Louisiana, and I'm going to go to 4. All right. Louisiana 4. I hope you're still in here. Sorry, y'all. So this is your Medicaid for Louisiana 4. 44,000 children and adults. And here's what I did. If your state calls it something different, like Healthy Louisiana, I put Medicaid in parentheses so that they can connect the dots between the two. The same way that some people don't realize that the Affordable Care Act is Obamacare, the same way people don't understand that Medicaid is Healthy Louisiana. So by putting them two together, right, then it starts to connect the dots between those two things. And then Louisiana 4, this is 33,000 people lose some or all of their SNAP benefits. And then this is your Louisiana 4 for your uninsured. It's an additional 51,000. Now let's go back over here to our sources document. And I'm going to go up here to, look, somebody's in the document, y'all. Okay, so look right here. I'm going to go to those for Louisiana 4. And I'm going to come down here and go by Louisiana. And you will be able to see the numbers that I just gave you. Louisiana 4 is 44% for your Medicaid and 33,000 for your SNAP. Okay. So last one that I'll do real quick for you is why aren't y'all still sharing? Oh, y'all got dropped. Sorry, I'll fix you. So last one is Missouri 6. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go to Missouri, and I'll go to Missouri 6. If it will let me scroll, there it goes. It's because I have so many tabs open. Don't judge me. So I'll go to Missouri, and now I'm going to go to Missouri 6, and this is Missouri. So 22,000 people in Missouri. It's the Missouri Health Net Medicaid, right, in this district. And 65% of your nursing home residents in Missouri are covered by Medicaid. SNAP benefits in the same district is 16,000 children and adults are going to lose some or all of their SNAP. And then this one is your uninsured because of the tax premiums, an additional 25,000. Okay. So I built this database and it continues to grow so that you all can share these via text, post them on your social media, go out in your community. I've got people that have been getting prints made at their libraries, or they're using staples. They've gone out to international grocery stores in their communities. They've gone and knocked doors in their neighborhoods. One of the things that I'm creating next are door knockers. So they'll have the same information, but it'll be on a door knocker. So when you go into your neighborhood, if you just want to drop it on a doorknob and keep going, you'll have the ability to do that. And share the information. They're done. That's because you're fucking awesome, Veronica. And be able to put that information out as well. So the way that you register for this, y'all, is you go to my main TikTok bio. Appreciate you, Veronica. You go to my main TikTok bio. You click the link tree, and the very first link in the link tree is how you register for Project for the People. We are already in 48 states. We've been at this for almost 10 weeks. What's up, Raja? We are in 48 states out of 50 states. We are in about 400 counties. I'll have the exact number before tonight's meeting at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And there's two really, really exciting things that I want to tell you about that we're doing on a state level in addition to getting this information out, okay? So I want to tell you about two things. The first one is Hawaii's bill, which is SB 2471. And then the second one, holy hell, I'm really excited about today because I don't know if you all saw this or not, but the state of New Mexico, suddenly I got muted. Go, it was you, Marky. Listen, let me tell y'all though. So did you all know that the state of New Mexico is the first state to pass legislation that was signed by the governor that makes New Mexico the first state to criminalize armed federal agents, military troops, or ICE officers near polling places, parking lots, or ballot drop boxes for elections. I'm so excited. Okay, so why is that important? Let me tell you why that's important and why it matters to us, okay? So listen, one of the other things that we are doing, so everybody that's in the same state has been getting, I've sent an email out and said, hey, listen, here's everybody that's in your state. This is their name, this is the county they're in, and this is their email address. Why? So that you all can get connected together, so that you all can collaborate together, so that you all can build community, so that you all can help each other out, so that you all can get together and be like, I'll come to your county and help doing this, and you come to my county and you help me do that. And now let me tell you this in a practical application. Hold on. I got so excited I almost choked my damn self. So listen. So here's the next bit. You ready? So the next thing that you do is, so follow me. In North Carolina, I know for a fact, I have people in 25 counties in the state of North Carolina. Now I want to show you how this works, how it works for the criminalization of troops by elections. and by the bill that Hawaii has passed and their governor is about to sign. So Hawaii has a bill that will actually nullify Citizens United in their state. What does that mean? Citizens United is the court case where the Supreme Court said that corporations are people and they have the same rights that you do as a person. And that when a corporation spends its money, it's the same thing as you having free speech. And that's why we have all this dark money in politics, right? So I'm going to use North Carolina as an example. If I have people in 25 counties in the state of North Carolina has 100 counties in the whole state. Okay. So then this is what the folks in North Carolina are doing together. Those people in those 25 counties are taking the draft of the Hawaii bill to get rid of Citizens United. And then those people are taking a clipboard around in their community and they are getting a minimum of 100 signatures in support of North Carolina passing that same legislation. So then what you have is you have at least 100 people from 1/4 of the counties in the entire state saying, yes, we want you to pass this bill and get dark money, corporate money out of our politics. And then what all of those people in North Carolina do together is they send a copy of those signatures with a copy of the bill to their state legislature and to all of their local media outlets. Can you imagine? You now have local outlets across 25% of North Carolina's counties with the same damn story. And all of a sudden, there are thousands of people in North Carolina saying, hey, we want your corporate money out of our politics. And here's the bill that Hawaii has already done to make it so. And then you do the same thing with the bill that New Mexico just passed to make it a crime to have armed troops and ICE agents ballot boxes in polling locations and in voting parking lots. You see what I'm saying, you all? This is how you make good, necessary trouble in a way that helps your state out. And at the same time, you are building community and you are building connection and you are sharing information with people that they need to know that impacts their daily lives so that by the time we get to August, September, October, we can have conversations on who we have to vote for based on the connection, the community, and the information that we have been sharing with each other for the last 5 months. And that's how we fucking win. Okay? New Mexico, Yari. And then do you know what happens? So then you have a Democratic majority in the House. You have a Democratic majority in the Senate. And no, they're not all Democrats that you love because there's no such fucking thing. And we can't twinkle our nose and be Adrian Madrini in this bitch. So we work with what we got. But we get a Democratic majority. Why? So now we can put checks and balances against this administration and the Supreme Court. Because Congress is the one branch of government that has the ability to do that, and they've done it in the past. So then here's what happens. You roll up into 2027. So I just want y'all to imagine it's 2027, Congress is coming back in, and all of a sudden you have a Democratic majority in your House, and you've got a Democratic majority in your Senate. And guess what they get to do? They get to do something called budget reconciliation. It's what Republicans did last year. And they get to use budget reconciliation to put money back into SNAP and to put money back into Medicaid, to take them tax cuts away from them damn billionaires, to take that ICE funding away from ICE and put it to the FTC. And then FTC can go after all of these damn monopolies and healthcare companies and Palantir and big tech bros and all that bullshit, right? And all of a sudden we're moving on a thing. They get that budget reconciliation bill passed by the summer of 2027. Got it? Right? And then in the fall of 2027, guess what you get to start doing? In the fall of 2027, you get to start doing a government accountability. And that government accountability looks like going after Pete Hegseth and Linda McMahon. And it looks like taking the funding for the Department of Education away from the Department of Labor and putting it back to the Department of Education so our children can have fully funded public education, right? And then all of a sudden you have the ability to impeach, remove, and prosecute members of the cabinet, whether that's Kash Patel, whether that's Todd Blanche, whether that's Pam Bondi, whether that's Kristi Noem, whether that's Linda McMahon, whether that's Dr. Oz, whether that's RFK Jr. Got it? All of a sudden, you have a mechanism for real government accountability because you have the Democratic majority in the House and in the Senate. Follow me? You get to impeach, remove, and then get ready to prosecute those people in government. That is your job for the fall of 2027. Caught it? And then when you come back in this damn thing, come the beginning of 2028, okay? We are now in the first half of 2028 and shit is looking good. And so you kind of get things together. You start to work on a few things, okay? Sometimes you move in silence, okay? Sometimes you move in silence. And then you get ready right around May of 2028. And then you expand the Supreme Court to 13 justices, one for every district, which is the way it was always intended. Because the last time we expanded the court was in 1868. And do you know why we expanded the court to 9 justices for 9 districts back then? Because we had a fascist racist president and we had a racist Supreme Court. Congress did it once before and Congress can do it again. And all of a sudden, Congress gets that done. But by the time Congress gets it done in June or July, guess what, y'all? It's too late for anybody to appoint anybody to the court because the election is here. It's now time for a presidential election in November. You can't appoint a damn judge. You damn sure can't appoint 5 of them, 4 of them, right? And now all of a sudden, you get to 2028 and you have a progressive president. You have a progressive majority in the House and in the Senate. And when you kick this damn thing off in 2029, you now have 13 Supreme Court justice spots available, and you have a progressive president who can appoint the 4 people to those damn benches. You Mitch McConnell the fuck out of them. And all of a sudden, we are in a position to truly make America great. And by the way, let me just rewind a little bit to that 2028 mark. 2028, them establishment Democrats, well, they've now gotten the picture. They understand that the way that MAGA took over the Republican Party, progressives have taken over the Democratic Party. And so those establishment Democrats, they're not taking AIPAC money anymore. They're not taking NORPAC money, J Street money. They're not putting corporations before the best interest of the people. They're no longer putting Israel before America. They're no longer saying, oh, we're going to go for the corporations over people. No, them damn Democrats go, shit, if I want to stay in office, I might want to get on the progressive bandwagon. And then do you know what else we do? We get really good progressive candidates to primary the fuck out of them. You hear me? And if those progressives beat them, then we elect those progressives. If those progressives don't, we keep that dim because they're already on notice. They know they got to change. This is the map for the next 3 years on how we begin truly making America great. And it doesn't mean you will always get the candidate that you love. It doesn't mean you're going to get every policy that you want right off the bat. It means we did not get here overnight, and we cannot microwave this shit back into a Big Mama Thanksgiving dinner, right? Y'all know that when you go to Big Mama's house for Sunday dinner, Thanksgiving, that stuff takes a minute. Them greens had to soak. You've had to wash them up. You had to season everything up, right? You don't just do this shit overnight. And you don't cook it all at the same time, do you? You're not going to turn around and make those damn deviled eggs and the macaroni and cheese at the same time. No, you're not. You're not doing the collards at the same time as the potato salad. You understand that when you are cooking a meal that is worth eating, you got to know in which order to cook. And not everybody's going to have the same job. Some of y'all can't make no mac and cheese. No, thank you. Some of you, your job is going to be to bring some ice and paper plates. And if that is your job, I need you to be bringing some Sonic ice. I need hospital grade ice when you come up in here. Okay? Don't you be bringing no damn gas station ice that I gotta beat on the ground and I got concrete in my ice. Don't do that. And don't bring me no paper plates that I got to put 4 of them together. I need some Thanksgiving grade paper plates. You hear me? Don't you come up in here with no grape can that says grape soda. It better say Fanta or Welch's minimum. You hear me? Don't come in here with no can that says pop. Whatever your job is, whatever your role is, right? You got to do it to the best of your ability, to the highest level possible. Because guess what? I don't care how great the mac and cheese is. If they bring your ass one of them plastic forks from the Chinese restaurant and that little tooth breaks off, you can't eat that mac and cheese no way. Right? Everybody's role has an impact on how we experience that damn dinner together. So your plastic fork is as important as that mac and cheese. You got it? This is the work that we are doing. This is what Project for the People is all about. Okay? So we meet every other Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have signed up, you get an email the evening before and the day of. Then you will get another email afterwards that has a link to the recording in case you missed the meeting. And your emails has a link to the Google Drive that I just showed you. Here's all I ask from you all. All I ask is that you really do the work, because the country is depending upon you. Your family is, your kids are, your grandkids are, your neighborhood is, right? And then just please operate with integrity, right? Please don't remove my watermarks off my graphics because your ass didn't make them. Okay? Operate with integrity. The playbook is copywritten. Operate with integrity. That's it. Other than that, I don't charge a damn dime, and ain't nobody paying me a damn dime to do this work. For real. I'm not a think tank. I don't have a sponsor. I don't have no Uncle George Soros has yet to find my ass. If you know him, he can send me a check. I got no problem. But to date, that is not a thing. Okay? So why do this? I mean, it is because I love you all and I want things to be better. And probably my biggest motivating factor is my grandbabies. Period. Okay? Just so you know. It's probably I didn't change the name. Thank you, Rebel. Ohio. Oh, look, I didn't change the name. Thank you. Sometimes when I'm working on this stuff, it's like after I get off of this live and then I get the grandbabies going and then I feed them dinner and all of that. And then I sit down to do this work. And so sometimes by the time it's like midnight and I'm trying to upload graphics, I'll forget to change the name on something. So I'll go back and recheck Ohio. You're welcome, Lewis. Thanks, Jackie. So here's what I want you all to do tonight. Thanks, Sandy. Sandy checked Tennessee for me. All right. So here's what I want you all to do. We meet tonight at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Bring somebody with you to the meeting, to the meeting. Do not give anybody that damn Google Drive link until they sign up. And here's why. Here's why. Because I actually have a map. And I have a map that has a star for everybody that is registered. And that's how I know I have people in, so I started redoing numbers last night. Florida, just so you know, Florida, on May the 12th, Florida, you all had 19 counties. As of last night, you had 23 counties, right? California, you had 20 counties. Now you have 24. Colorado had 5. Now Colorado has 7. So this is why before anybody gets access to that Google Drive, I need for them to sign up, because this is how I track where we have people, and this is how I connect people so that they can be impactful together. You understand? So please do not give the drive. It is in it's in the Google Drive. You can share the link. Yeah, of course, Carla. You can share the link for me talking about the project that's on my TikTok, that's on my YouTube, that is on my Facebook, or the one that is in the Google Drive. You can share just that. So let me show you. I need to redo the map, but this is what the map looks like so far. We don't have anybody in Wyoming, and we don't have anybody in South Dakota. Other than that, we have people throughout the entire country. Okay. I did not know that I was going to have to get, I did not know that I was going to have to get my grand girls off the bus today. Okay. So I had intended to do a Pally panel today, but I have to get the grand girls, so I can't. We will do a Pally panel tomorrow. What is a Pally panel? That is where we bring up our folks that are in Gaza and in the West Bank, and people are able to show their love with TikTok coins so that they can use that and turn it into crypto so they can buy food and clothing and things that they need for their families. So tomorrow, Friday, there will be a Pally panel here. So if you have the ability to throw some coins that way, please do. If you're not on TikTok, you can still support. Go to my link tree. There's a whole section that says Palestinian direct support links, where you can actually give to those people directly. And anybody whose link is in my link tree, I personally know them, and I know that they are in Gaza and that they are in the West Bank, one of the two. Okay. You too, Leslie. Appreciate it. All right. So folks, that is absolutely all I have for right now. I am going to get off here so that I can get my shoes and socks on and get ready to get these babies off the bus. Go sign up for Project for the People right now. Do it before 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time if you want to get a link to come to the meeting tonight at 8 p.m. Okay? That's all I got. I love you, mean it, and I will see you all later. All right? Peace out, folks.